What's good? My apologies, we lost connection, but I'm here. I'm back. I'm going to send this over to the messenger group. Been having a few computer problems, and I think I know what it is. I ordered a piece, I ordered a chip so we can do better. Make sure I have this right, if you don't mind. My apologies, like I said. Are we back? Here we are. I'm sharing it. I'm sending it over to Messenger, guys, so we can get down with it. Um, are we back, guys? All right. I think that's it right there. I think we back. Okay. Thanks, AP. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making a comment to give your boy here some direction because I was actually a little lost, but I'm coming back in now. I apologize. We fell off. I'm going to talk about why I keep falling off here in a second, but let me at least get everybody invited and send this over to the chat groups. Anybody else here? I see my man AP is back in the building. Anybody else back? If you're here and you want us to know you're here, put a hand in the air, put a thumbs up, or do something for me. Let me know. Sabrina Calloway and Anthony are back. What's good, Queen? Sabrina Calloway. Oh, we got royalty in the building. Good afternoon, Wyatt-Live family, she says. What's good? This is going to be a difficult show for me. This is going to be a difficult conversation for me because I know I'm going to say some things that's probably going to piss some people off. Okay, it's probably going to piss some people off, and then I might be one of those that'll say something that most people won't say, like I am normally. But I think we all have to be in agreement that the shit that we seen over the weekend was absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. I don't know how many of you seen the actual video. I don't know how many of us actually, witnessed the video. I haven't. I know there's some people who sent it around and did some other things, and I just want to let you guys know that since you can't see any faces directly, all you can see is the action of the shooter, and you can see the damage that the shots do. I quite frankly, I don't have a problem showing the video. If I seen a face, if I seen someone's face and I could see that that was that person's family member or things of that nature, I probably would have an issue. It's not an easy watch. It's not easy at all, but it's something that I think we all should be aware of what's going on out here. Now, my spin and my take on what I feel like what happened, why it happened, who it happened to, is it a regular thing? All of that might be a little bit different. I'm not here to collect any enemies. I don't need enemies from any race of people, but I'm going to keep the shit a buck the way I see it. I'm going to keep it a buck the way I see it. I have pictures of the victims that I really want to share just in tribute. There was a shooting in Buffalo, New York over the weekend. For those, I'm sure everyone knows, but just for those that may not know, there was a shooting over the weekend at a grocery store. I believe it was Toys grocery store. And y'all know what I sent in the messenger group this morning. If you're not part of the messenger group, hit me up on DM and I'll make sure that you get an invite. Please take the invite. Come on in and share your views. And, it's rough in there. It's rough in there. Some people, the things that we may not say on the air, we may say it in messenger. We share topics, we share ideas, we share conversation, and we get to know one another there. Some people like people more than others, but it's somewhere where we can kind of keep. It's a family. Wyatt-Live Messenger group, the family group. If you want to be in it, just send me a DM or send me a message. I'll send you an invite. The door is always open. But you all seen what I sent in there this morning. Okay? There's no running away from this issue. There's no running away from it. I'm not going to sit here and act like racism and motivation of race doesn't play a part in a lot of the things that we deal with in America. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But when people make the assumption, because it's a pure assumption, because the numbers don't validate what some people are saying. This is not something that's happening in America every day. But once a year is too much. Once every 3 years is too much. Once every 5 years is too much. I'm angry. I'm angry. And I'm going to pose a couple questions for, some of the people that kind of, I don't want to call you chaos. I'm not in the mood to be calling names and all that old shit, because this is a serious matter. But I just got a couple questions to some people that support certain people and support certain things. And I think it's a legitimate question. I'm going to ask it now because a few people are here, and then when a few more people get here, if they even come, I'll pose the question again. But I remember, without this trying to get all political, because politicians can't help but put this in a political setting. They can't help but make this political. So let me ride that track real fast, just for a couple seconds, if I may. Remember when our president, Joe Biden, got in office? What was one of the first things he did when he got in office? What was one of the executive orders that he signed? And no one said anything. And matter of fact, I've listened to a couple of shows for about 5-10 minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes apiece. And what I'm not going to say no one has said it. Let's just say that I haven't heard anyone say what I'm about to say. Now, correct me if someone brought this up. Great minds think alike. So if somebody brought it up, not only do I want to hear that they brought it up, I want to hear what the response was. But here's my question to you. What was one of the first things, smart people, that Joe Biden did when he got in office? Thanks, AP. AP says, like and share. Thank you. What's one of the first things he did week one? Days, hours in the office. What did he sign? What was one of his executive orders that he signed when he got there? Come on, somebody put it up there for me. Come on, think fast, folks. Where my people at? Where my real ones at? Where my people that really know where I'm going with this? Nobody got it yet? Don't nobody say nothing about the Keystone pipeline. We'll get on that shit one other day. This is something that's a little bit different. Been about that check, what's good? See, I need brainstorms like been about this check to hit me with one of these. Been about this check, quick question for you. I know we all in class right now. You happen to be late, so we putting your ass in the front of the class. And we got an answer here, and we got a winner. And Sabrina, the queen that she is, Sabrina Calloway, just answered the question. And it's the anti-Asian hate law that was signed by your president, Joe Biden. And what was it supposed to do? It was supposed to be an act it's supposed to be a law signed in place to protect the Asian American community. And then when people mentioned, where's the black one? We've been here longer, going through lynching and going through all this hate throughout the streets and facing all this diversity. Where's the law that showed, how many Asians, and I don't mean, y'all know I got Asians in my heart. This has nothing to do with Asians. It's just how policies have looked over how we've been looked over. Now, let me ask you a question. Why ain't any of y'all chaos agents on Joe Biden ass? I didn't heard Trump name today. Trumpsters, Trump this, Trump that. Trump jumped over the magic stick. Trump passed go and collected $200. I didn't heard all that shit today, but not one person have I heard you say anything about Joe Biden and what happened to our anti-criminal bill against black people. Why haven't we seen any of that? And I don't even care. I knew that was never coming. My question to you is why you ain't add no thunder to it. You got all this other shit to say. You even putting this on somebody that's not even effective anymore. But my question is, where's all the energy? Where's the energy for, you got the Asian hate crime bill, signed off on, didn't have to go through no structure. It was an executive order. And it was in the midst of George Floyd and everybody that felt like the police was murdering us. But still no crime bill for black folks, which this crime would have fell under that executive order, that order. It would have fell under that, right? So where y'all at? Oh, and I got some more contradiction to catch up with. Guns. Now all of a sudden everybody want to understand where I was coming from. See, this is for the chaos agents that was in my DM the other day, about 2 weeks ago, when you were mad at me because I was talking about I don't have a problem with everybody being able to carry a gun, unlicensed or whatever, because most people are responsible with guns. And if you don't know where I'm going, put your seatbelt on, relax, I'll get you there. The reason why this, I don't even want to call him a young man. The reason why this dumbass dude went to the grocery store is because it was a soft target. How many people do you know carrying a gun in a grocery store? And for those smart cats who think, oh, well, he had on body armor, he was looking for smoke. No, he was looking to do what he did. And the smoke, the body armor was for the police that was coming. But he was going to kill as many innocent people as he possibly could because he knew that was a soft target. Remember when I had that conversation and I told you about soft targets? They hit movie theaters. They hit places that they least expect someone will give them some confrontation. What y'all young people call it today, smoke. Some call this kid a coward. Listen, I ain't gonna say he no coward because it take a lot of balls to do what he did. Now that don't mean I'm co-signing it. It don't even mean I have nothing. This is poison that runs through his brain. But for you to act out on what you write on paper and go do it, shoot innocent people, and then sit there and be prepared for the police if there's gonna be some. If the boy's gun wouldn't have jammed, he probably would have got into a shootout with the police. There is no doubt in my mind that this was racially motivated. There's no way around that. But now let me ask you this. Joe Biden is going to be at the Buffalo. He's going to be in the Buffalo area talking to the victims' families, the people that I've always said we need to be talking to. I don't want to talk to the politicians. Get the mayor out of here. Mayor ain't has shit to do with none of this. I don't want to talk to the store owner. I don't want to talk to the fucking governor of New York. I don't want to talk to none of them. Put the family members on. Let the family members talk to you. And I guarantee you will have a different appreciation of what needs to happen. Unfortunately, 13 people were killed. 11 of them were African American. Quite a few of them had some age on them. Not that that really matters. But that just shows you how innocent this situation was, how innocent these folks were. You hit a grocery store with people my grandmother's age is in. And let me tell you something. When I seen it, when I listened to this, let me tell you what I truly had a problem with, what I feared the most. It wasn't me. Not one time did I think, damn, I could have been at Kroger's. That could have been me. I never even thought that could have been my wife. Sorry, guys, I'm just being honest with you. First thing came to my mind was I have a 21-year-old daughter who could have been at Kroger's, or in this case, Toys, whatever it's called. I'm sorry, I don't know, the Tops or whatever the name of the store is. That could have been my daughter in there, grabbing a cart right at the front of the store, getting a parking space right in front of the store, right in the soda aisle, grabbing a 2-liter. And here comes this idiot. I unbelievably took this personal. This is ridiculous to me. I took it personal because I couldn't get the thought out of my mind that this could have been not me, not my wife. This could have been my daughter, because here's the crazy thing. My daughter came to Cincinnati over the weekend. And what she told me on Saturday is, I got to go to the grocery store tomorrow. I've been with y'all all weekend. So when I get back home, I'm going to the grocery store. That rode with me. Hey, Tracy Dillingham. Hey, Noah is in the building. Been about this check, I already know. He said, bro, these radio MFs paid off. They can't speak how you do, Biden. How you do. Biden said more focus on gun control anything as a distraction. Yeah, it is. I know what you're saying. It was a little choppy in what you were saying, but you're right. I don't have advertisers. I don't have people, and I don't have a crowd that I have to speak to make sure y'all give a shit about how I feel about shit either. Y'all respect me as an individual. I respect y'all as an individual. I don't say shit just to keep you around here. I say shit that other people don't say. And those that attract and want to get engaged with what I say, that's what it is. Okay, and that's cool. I will respect somebody that stand on their circle and keep it 100 than somebody that's making sure they saying all the right shit so they can keep their base. Fuck that. I ain't got to eat off of this, so I can say what I want to say. You can just be mad at me because of my beliefs, but you also ain't have to cut my mortgage check. So I think we cool. So what I haven't heard today in any argument, and I'm still waiting for somebody to maybe correct me. I'm still waiting for someone to correct me. Has anyone brought up the African-American hate crime bill or any shit like that? Did we get an executive order? Let's put this shit through the test. Why is it y'all don't, why don't nobody say shit about Biden? Y'all didn't put this shit on Trump and everything else. Here we go. Y'all didn't let the politicians get to it. They're going to make it a campaign situation for themselves. What we doing? 77-year-old grandmothers. This motherfucker see people after he didn't shot them laying on the ground. Reloads and shoots them again. Shoots massive people. Walks by, sees a white guy down on the ground, pleading for his life. Oh! And this motherfucker says, oh, sorry. And keep going. Okay. He's 18 years old, guys. You know what I keep hearing everybody say? How is an 18-year-old that fucking evil? How does an 18-year-old who hasn't spent any of his own mind of a day hate any group of people on his own that fast? Here's another thing I haven't heard anybody say. And I know some of you are already disagreeing with me on certain things, but I haven't heard anybody say mental illness yet either. What I hear is hate. I keep hearing hate. I keep hearing every time it's a white dude that do some shit like this, it's just they hate black people. They hate brown people. They hate, 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 hate. But you never hear anybody saying anything about mental illness. It don't exist for them, right? That's kind of like what I'm getting out of it. Been about this check this shit out. Check this shit out. I'm listening to I spent about 10 minutes. I know people going, listen, man, motherfuckers gonna leave this room today. I know they leaving today. Let me tell you how screwed up we are sometimes. I'm listening to the show. And I can only give it 10 minutes. And I hear someone said F Trump. This deleter, what's good with you, deleter? I don't expect you to say anything other than that. Oh my goodness. Jenny, what's good, Jenny? She says they are taught to hate. I'm going to say what I had to say here in a second. They are taught hate, some of them from a young age. Yeah, they're also manipulated. They're also taught hate from not necessarily their parents, but them kids get away from their parents just like we do. I can guarantee you this boy, just like they said, while he was in quarantine or when we were on lockdown, he was bored. He was bored. So what did he do? I'm sure he surfed YouTube. He surfed all those channels and all this, and he read all the rhetoric and heard all these videos and seen all this shit and blah, 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 blah. I'm sure that influenced him a whole bunch. The kid is mentally weak. It's just my opinion. So I'm listening to the radio and someone says something to the nature of, after they talk about this situation, they want to incorporate another situation that happened on Sunday, that happened at a church in California. And I'm like, damn, okay, we got some more coming? Like shooting at the grocery store, now the church, all in the same day? What the fuck? Or is it an attack on black folks? And of course, this person was being a chaos agent because they didn't give all the information. No, come on. Chaos agents can't give the full story. They can only give you blurs and pieces to make it make sense. So they start talking about all the shootings and that happened in Buffalo. And then all of a sudden, they incorporate a brand new story. And y'all, this is what he said on the radio, and y'all ain't even here about what happened at the church out in California. So everybody's sitting on the edge of their seat listening to the radio. And they say, and I'm saying, what happened in California? I ain't seen that yet. So the brother commits to saying to the crowd, 5 people shot at a church. This is a true story. 5 people shot in a church, 1 in critical condition. So it was a total of 6 people shot in a church out in California. Man walks into the church and shoots 6 people, unarmed people, and leaves. He's on the run. Now, you're talking about what happened in Buffalo. You're talking about how this white kid then shot up the damn grocery store. And then you give us that piece of information. But what you don't tell us, chaos agent, because and I'm going to give you a benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give you an out. It was probably because you didn't know. You just want to be first to say some shit. You don't even say that the 5 people that shot in California at the church are all Asian. You don't want to say that shit. You just want to keep the pot stirring and keep this shit. You want to keep us mad. So everybody like, damn, 5 more people shot. Oh, shit, I got to load my gun. Shit getting crazy out here. That's where you wanted to take it. I know. Chaos. We love it. Not only was it 5 Asians, rest their souls, but it was an Asian man that went into the church and shot the 6 Asians in the church. What does that have to do with the grocery store situation? Now, he probably didn't know. He probably didn't know the real story. He just kind of heard in this ear and spit it out this part of it, spit it out here. Didn't have any information. Because what he was trying to do, or what it seemed like he was trying to do, in my assumption, was tie the two together and make it seem like we got some racial shit going on here. I read in the messenger group, the Wyatt-Live messenger group. I didn't already read the comments. I didn't read everybody. Few of you saying, I'm done blaming this shit on mental illness. It ain't mental illness. It's just these motherfuckers they just crazy. That's mental illness. We can't keep blaming this shit on mental illness. Yeah, it's mental illness. An 18-year-old white boy going to a grocery store where it's 80 in a neighborhood where it's 80 percentile black, targets black folks. He's 18 years old. Ain't no black man beat him out of a job. Ain't no black man did shit to him to the point where he hated us so much that he can go in and shoot up a grocery store unless he's been manipulated, been listening to some bullshit. What is that thing called? Replacement theory. This young man's been drugged to believe all this dumb shit. His bartender is still serving him drinks. And his bartender allowed him to walk out here, load his weapon up, released him out to the world while he was drunk with all that fake ass, dumbass information. And he went out there and he did everything that he put in a note. I won't call it a manifest. I'm just going to call it a note. This kid had a year ago, he had an evaluation at his school. They let him go. I know y'all don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear that this kid could probably be crazy. But to be honest with you, my common sense says anybody that'll do something without thinking about the consequences of themselves, what'll happen to themselves, that's a form of crazy right there to me. That's just me personally. I don't know how you living, but the first thing I think of before I do something, before I act, is what's the consequences? What's the repercussions? How's this shit gonna work out for me, even if I get away with it? What's gonna happen to me if I don't get away with it? And if you're not thinking like that, you're not thinking clearly, right? That's how I see it. And I know I'm gonna say this last thing before I get into my rant, because I ain't ran it yet. I know y'all ain't gonna want to hear this shit. But if I'm not mistaken, how many of you, by the show of hands, how many was blaming the brother in Brooklyn? Remember a few weeks ago when I was saying Brooklyn like a third home to me? I'm always in Brooklyn. Matter of fact, I'm going to Brooklyn at the end of this month to the fights. How many of you all know who remember me saying that? And I said, wait a minute. Why isn't this story getting any traction? I said a dude fucking shot up the subway. And he shot the car that has predominantly white and Asian people in it. It's like the metro. For y'all that don't travel subways, you may not know this, but subways go to different communities. It's just like the metro. You want to kill some black folks? Hit the 49. '49 still exists? He rode the bus in decades. I don't know. But it used to, and it used to go to the Faye. But all I'm saying, it was mental illness. When the brother shot the Asians and the white folks 2 weeks ago in Brooklyn, nobody covered it. I didn't hear one show. I didn't hear one show in the city of Cincinnati say a goddamn thing about it. But when it did surface for a hot ass second, one hot ass second, for those that even said anything, the first excuse that came up was mental illness. Oh yeah. And then when the FBI, and here's the thing, everybody complaining about how they didn't drug the white boy out of they drug him out of the grocery store. No, what he did, he threw his gun down and he laid out flat. I still would have shot his ass. No, I wouldn't have shot him. I'm sorry, Facebook. Y'all know I would have probably had a problem with that though. I don't want to get cut for inducing violence, but I do want to speak this truth. They walked the white guy from the parking lot to a squad car. But they did the same thing to the black guy from Brooklyn, New York, who shot up the subway 2 weeks ago. They found him. He went on the run. So after they found him, they put him in handcuffs and they made him, he showed up in court. He showed up in court. Nobody said anything about the brother. The FBI went to his house, found a whole lot of that shit that they be talking on these radio stations and all that shit. Found a whole lot of that same conversation on his computers, everything. But that was mental illness. It wasn't, he's tired of this shit going on in this world right now. I'm just going to take out as many Asian and white people as I possibly can. That wasn't normal. So they classified that as mental illness. He has to be. We all know that you got to be crazy to do some shit like that. Let me take a call and then I'm going to, I'll finish up. I don't want to rant. I just kind of want to take a call. Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
What up, Wyatt? This your West Coast connection, Drop Squad 52, also known as Black Not Democrat. How you doing, man?
Hey, Drop. How you doing this evening, man?
Oh, man, I've been listening to your show since your first hit. Then you had to reboot. I came back. Man, you are on point with your facts today, my brother. You slipped up at the beginning and you didn't pronounce the correct name of the store. But you quickly corrected that.
What is it?
But it's Tops.
Tops. Okay, Tops. Okay.
Yeah. You corrected it. But other than that, my brother, you are on point. You did your homework today. You are ready for the chaos agents. Because again, you what you're doing now. You already know where I come from, and I wanted to hear how you framed your show today before I called in. And the other show in question, I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm gonna go back and listen. Because again, I'm very familiar with the other show, and I just want to hear what direction they took it, because I already know based on what you've said so far and your history in exposing chaos agents and people who host shows in the Cincinnati area. But again, you mentioned the subway guy, Frank James, which happened on April 13th, 2022. He got off 33 shots, Wyatt, and 10 of those shots struck victims that for some reason, maybe it was because they didn't die, but they were not put forward in this case. And there's another case, a black man named Darrell Brooks in Wisconsin, November 22nd, 2021. Drove his SUV through a crowd of all white folks, and he killed 5 people. And again, like you said, mental illness. And I'm telling you why you keep doing what you're doing, brother. Every platform needs contrast instead of everybody all the same. Because we're talking about Black people hearing this stuff, and it is traumatic when Black people feel that they are being preyed upon. I mean, it's unfortunate, but again, when you talk about these politicians and their willing accomplices in the media and how they frame certain stories that involve Black people who are suffering pain, fatal injuries at the hands of white folks, it's always politicized. But it's when it's reversed, it's not. And this is my theory, and I'm gonna stop my little rant. My theory is that the white media and the politicians, when Black people are perpetrators like Darrell Brooks and Frank James, they feel that because of all the shit that Black people have been through at the hands of white people, that in some weird way of they thinking that these Black individuals were justified in a way to carry out what they did. That's just one man's opinion. But thank you for letting me get that rant off, Wyatt. I'm gonna hang up.
No. Don't hang up.
I want to hear other people call.
Don't hang up. I got a couple questions for you, if you don't mind. You got a second for a question or two?
Yeah. And the church that got shot up yesterday. I used to deliver mail in that community.
Wow.
And again, that ain't no Black community. It's a retirement community. The church is on the side where the golf course is. This is a huge retirement community. And you're right. It was Indonesians that was at that church. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was listening to a show. It was a radio show today. And as they were talking about the tragedy that happened at the grocery store, another person brings in this 5-6 people that got shot in California at a church. Okay, there's no details, there's no information, it's just chaos that they were bringing to the conversation. And they didn't even describe the scene, they didn't describe the victims, they didn't describe the perpetrator, they just incorporated it to the grocery store shooting, and that's what people will do. And it shows the length of how low people will go just to be first or to keep chaos going. Now, I am not justifying what happened here. I'm just saying that we have to take in consideration. When was the last massive shooting like this in America? Can you think of it?
It was in Texas.
Okay, where was it?
I'm not. It was at a Walmart or a grocery store. I think it was at a grocery store.
How long ago was it?
They jumped the gun, of course, but again, once the investigation went on, it wasn't quite the way they portrayed it in the beginning.
Right, because the media got a hold of it, and they decided to put the spin on it that needed to be done. So, do you know how
most of the victims? I think most of the victims were Hispanic. Right.
Okay. Now, my question to you about what happened at the grocery store, if you don't mind, this is a hard question for me to ask you, Drop, because you are a little biased when it comes down to politics. You do have your side that you defend. You're black, not Democrat, and you're tough on Biden. But why are you hearing or have you heard anybody holding Biden, to the fire on this at all, based on the fact that we have an Asian hate crime bill, but we don't have an African American crime bill yet? Have you heard anybody talk on that, or have you seen anything on the news about this at all? I mean, have you seen him challenged? Because this was an executive order that he signed for the Asians, but he did not do the thing for African Americans. Remember that?
Yes. And to answer your question, yes, I've heard quite a bit about it, and it was before this tragedy happened in New York at Tops Grocery Store. It was in Twitter Spaces, and it was a lot of black people that were saying exactly what you said. When they came out with this Asian hate crime, it was because of Trump and his language during the coronavirus. And when Asians was getting fucked up in New York and LA, it was by black perpetrators.
Exactly.
And then they like, hold up, just like you said. Why? That's why I said today, brother, you are on your shit.
Well, think about it.
Put your show together, man.
Think about it.
That's what I keep telling you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Just think about it. Why would Biden sign an executive order for Asians? I know it. Okay, let's say it's needed, but he signs an executive orders for Asians when predominantly Asians were being scarred, damaged, and brutally beaten by blacks. But yet he puts in his hate bill who targets who if it goes in active seat. If it goes in active seat, it's going to get those that did the crime, right?
Right.
So why isn't there an African American hate crime bill when in fact African Americans, based on a whole lot of chaos agents, and I'm guilty of it as myself, we have been through more pain than any race of people in this country, but we do not have a hate crime bill. I can't remember the last time any history book had Asians hanging from trees.
Because Wyatt, listen, this is what they do. Okay, if you listen to the rhetoric that happened since the Tops tragedy, okay, it always goes in the directions of guns, and that's why it's politicized. Okay, it always goes in the directions of guns, and they use the fact that the victims and the pain and suffering of black people, because again, these politicians need votes to get in office so they can do the shit that they do. And unfortunately, mostly all black people vote for one party. So if anything happens to a black person, the Democrat Party is going to automatically politicize it. And it's even worse now with Joe Biden because of what you brought up with the Asian crime bill, all the things that he said he was going to do for black people to put him in office, what happened with him in South Carolina and the primaries, and James Clyburn claiming that if it wasn't for him getting black folks, he wouldn't be president, and all this rhetoric bull, it's worse now. But the Asian hate crime bill that Biden signed, without looking at the data, to show that most of these perpetrators were black, it was all about Trump. It was all about Trump.
I know that because because Trump kept making the comment China. And when you say China,
we all know that's where the virus originated, from China.
Right. So when you say China, that made him much more of a racist because people were looking at Asians and thinking that he was shooting shots at the Asian Americans.
And plus, the way Trump is, he called it the Wu Fu, the Kung Flu. You know how Trump is.
Well, yeah, of course. He's an idiot. I'm just going to be honest with you. Hey, I've told you this many a times, Drop, that I just believe that regardless of what Trump's policies are, no matter how well they may be for the country, I just think, quite frankly, Donald J. Trump is horrible for the Republican Party, bro. He's a horrible ambassador of the brand. He's not a very good spokesperson. He doesn't know how to pass a message. He represents his party in a fucked up kind of way. He makes everybody who may have a certain way of thinking about policy, he has them as demons. They all look like demons because you are what your leader is. That's what most people think. But, you know, unfortunately, we do have small minds when it comes down to judging people. And if you look at the leader of a party, if Biden was just as, you know, disrespectful as Trump, people would say, like, for instance, people call Joe Biden dumb and slow, right? But does that mean all Democrats are dumb and slow? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So when you look at a Republican and they may have certain policies and views, because Trump is talking about some grab them by the Uzi and all that, that don't mean all Republicans do that. It don't mean that. It don't mean that all Republicans have a problem with Asians because Trump is talking about some China. And he said it in such a deplorable type of way that, you know, it kind of shook everybody wrong. And that's why a lot of people ran away from associating. I had people during the elections a year and a half ago, well, 2 years ago, hitting me up saying, you know, I'm a Republican. I'm just on the fence on how I'm going to vote. Why would a Republican be on the fence of how they going to vote when, in fact, you do believe in the Republican Party's principles and their beliefs, but you just don't like who's delivering it?
Well, see, why everything you just said on point. But the thing is, Trump was non-political because, see, politics is about a facade. It's about an image. It's about a message. And that's why you always hear the Democrats, when things aren't going right, their polling is down. They say we got to change the messaging. Or even when Barack Obama was in, he's saying that we got to keep telling people all the good stuff we've done for them, whether they realize it or not. So that is going to continue. But see, it's just worse now because it's an election year and it's a midterm, and they know that what happens in November is going to dramatically affect what happens for them in 2024 for president. And one last thing, the Republican Party, they wanted someone like Trump. They intentionally elected him because the other 15 was just full of the same old bullshit that they've been feeding them. And the Republican voters said, we tired of this. We going totally opposite. So in contrast, Wyatt, with what's happening with black voters in this cycle with Joe Biden, and what I'm hearing on Twitter with these young voters, this could be the turning point in 2024 when black Democrats finally say that we're done with the Nancy Pelosi, the Joe Bidens, and dumbass politicians that they throw in front of us because they're black, because they're women, because they're bisexual, because they're transgender. Oh, we're going to put you in this position just because you're all those things. Well, but the job that I'm putting you in there to do, you're freaking incompetent.
Well,
Look at the Biden administration, Wyatt, and this is why I'm telling you, a turning point is going to happen in the Democrat Party, and it's going to start with young black voters like your daughter. They're the future. They're seeing through the political bullshit. It's tragic, Wyatt, to see what happens when black people are victims, and then the media, they throw fuel on the fire. And some black people in communities, they're living with the violence in their own community perpetrated by black people against other black people. It's crazy out there, Wyatt. They just run around in broad daylight now. Shit. Because all these criminals that were put out in the streets. Now, see, I'm starting to rant. No. So, Wyatt, because you know I can go, brother.
Yeah, well.
But your show.
No. Listen, bro.
You cannot avoid politics.
Listen, bro. You just made a comment about daylight. I heard it. Regardless of all that other shit you were saying, I get you. But you said something about daylight. Ask the people of Cincinnati the next time you call into Cincinnati how many murders we've had lately in the broad daylight. How many murders in broad daylight?
Cincinnati is one of the top cities in murders, I think, in the last couple of years.
Well, I just say, ask that question because it seems it's very avoidable.
On that particular show you're talking about, I try to stay away from local issues. But because of politics these days, Wyatt, everything local is now national.
Well, of course. But my question is...
Certain things are national, like you pointed out earlier in your show.
Right. Well,
some things, they keep it local, where it might affect their national image. You see what I'm saying with the politics?
No, I understand.
And the media?
I understand, bro. But what I'm saying to you is I'm seeing a lot, and this is not just beginning to start. I see a lot of double standards, and I see a lot of hypocrisy. I see a lot of things going on that it's easy to explain when one particular group of people do it, but it's like it's a cover, like we're not going to talk about it when another group of people do it, or there's other reasonings why this group of people doing it, but you understand where I'm coming from.
And that's why I've always said, why you got to keep doing what you're doing, because the city of Cincinnati, they need a contrast between the other shows that are on and your show.
Well,
and you already know how I stand. You just keep doing what you're doing, bro, because it's the people that are listening to the shows. You guys are delivering the message.
Well,
it's the listeners that you're touching and what they're hearing to guide them in the same direction that you're talking about, instead of some of the other stuff that's out there now. And again, it's the technology that these young folks got. I'm telling you, bro, I'm 61 and I'm seeing a change. It's slow, but I'm going to wait and see what happens in this November, because it's going to be huge, and they already know it.
Well, let me just say this to you, my man, drop about Trump. About Biden. I don't know if you were listening to our show when Biden, you were, when the war first started, when there was 150,000 on the front line. And I said, I don't know if you remember this, you may not have heard that show, but I said, here comes Biden's savior to this economy. I said, if this war happens, unfortunately, as much as we're paying for it, and as much as it's hurting some people in Ukraine, I said, this is going to be the biggest distraction that will help this administration get past a lot of its flaws for some of the decisions it's making. I said, Putin really is helping Biden. He is going to go over there and invade Ukraine, and that's going to be Biden's out. That's going to be his out. And I said it before the shit even happened. Now, what's going on now? Everything is being blamed on this war. And it's not true. You can't blame inflation on this. This war has nothing to do with inflation. Okay, that does not devalue the dollar of the United States of America. Now, it will devalue the dollar over in Russia, okay, or Ukraine. Those countries, European countries, will suffer from this war, dollar value. But this war has nothing to do with the value of the U.S. dollar. This is all about COVID and all about all the free money that was given out. That is what causes inflation. Okay. I was at the gas pump yesterday, or it was at the gas pump Saturday. Now at Kroger's in Cincinnati, we got these Kroger points. How many of y'all use your Kroger points? Where when you buy groceries, you get points and you get dollars, you get some cents off of your gas, right? I'm watching family after family at the gas pump. The gas was $4.34 in the Midwest, bro.
I
already know how crazy it is on the West Coast. But hold on, let me get this one out. You'll appreciate it. It was $4.34 at the gas station. And this one guy, it was a brother and a sister. They had 3 of their cars lined up because they were getting 50 cents with their loyalty card, 50 cents a gallon off. 50 cents. Okay, so they brought every car they had in their driveway. They had 2 SUVs and a small little sports car. And the guy at Kroger's timed them out. He said, you can't put gas in every one of your cars for your discount price. You only get so much time at our gas pumps, and you have to move on. And they're calling this hoarding gas and baby food. This is the excuses that we're getting out of administration. People are hoarding baby formula, hoarding gas, and then you're hearing this also. You're hearing that these companies are gouging. Yes. They're not gouging. The product is not available. You will have more people taking the product and putting it on the shelf, hoarding it, before you'll have the price gouging. That's not what's going on, y'all. Please don't let certain media outlets let this shit go. Y'all letting this situation off the hook if you keep believing this rhetoric. This is bad governing. That's what the fuck it is. That's all I can tell you. And I told y'all I was going to respect whoever the president of the United States was. But listen, my daughter went home yesterday. We filled her tank up with gas. It was $71. She got up to Columbus, Ohio, and she had a quarter of a tank left, almost a half a tank left. And she said, Dad, I went to class, I went to work, I did what I had to do today. I got to get some more gas. I can't pay another $71. I said, well, babe, if you had half the tank, it's only going to be $34. She said, Daddy, that's what I used to pay to fill the car up, was $34. Yep. I said, babe, sit back and relax. I don't know how long this is going to last, but this is called, I don't know exactly how to say this, but I didn't say what my father.
Wyatt, this is called the 1970s under Jimmy Carter. I remember this shit. It's gonna get worse, Wyatt. I'm telling you.
Well,
it's gonna get up to $7 out here for premium.
It's gonna be $5.
It's gonna get up to $6 for regular.
It's gonna be $5 a gallon here. There's no way to stop it.
Exactly.
Okay? There's no way to stop
it. The California prices we had before Ukraine, those are the prices y'all getting ready to get right now.
But hold on, Drop. We only talking about gas. See, everybody want to blame. Okay, but see, check this out. See, what a lot of people don't understand is look at your credit card ratings. Look at your rates. Credit card rates, home loan rates. This is stuff that's going to affect your economy, and it's going to stop people from spending money. And when you spend money, it's going to be astronomical to spend it. My daughter just spent all that money on the gas. I, of course, paid for it, but shit. Okay, check it. She went to the grocery store when she got home, and she spent $100, just like I did on Saturday, and came out with 3 bags. And she was like, Dad, this is like double what I normally pay. Now, here's
stop right there, Ryan. Stop right there. Who was the president when your daughter was paying those lower prices?
Well, she hadn't started paying yet, but I see your point.
Well, when you were paying for those lower prices, who was in the White House then, Wyatt?
Well, I can name 2. We had Trump and we had Obama. That's
going to be the downfall of the Democrats this time, because it's so close to when Trump was in. And just like your daughter was saying, people are going to look back and say, well, damn, it costs me $80 now, and it used to be $40.
But you got to understand,
and guess when it used to be it was under Trump and the Republicans.
But you have to understand, bro, we're talking about the obvious. The obvious is gas. Everybody can see that. But you can't tell me one person that's sitting in this room right now, if you haven't been to the grocery store in a month, you're going to get your ass kicked when you go next time you go. If you ain't seen the prices when you get there, you got some shit coming to you the next time you walk in there.
Hey, Wyatt,
there's no way this is going to get better.
Before I go.
Go ahead.
Somebody was supposed to pick me up at the airport this morning, but he got it early tea time, so he's like, yo, bro, you on your own.
Damn, with friends like that. I said, with friends like that, you better not have no enemies.
so I had to pay to get a ride home. Now, back under Trump, it would cost me $40 for like the shuttle. You know how you get the shuttle to the airport.
Sure.
It cost me $60, Wyatt. And see, this is what people are going to think about. They ain't going to think about Trump tweeted this or Trump said the Kung flu. They're going to think about the money that they're paying now. And the last time they paid half of that, it was under Trump. So I'm telling you, with the right campaign slogans this coming November after the primaries are over, you watch and listen to the political ads coming from the Republicans, and the political ads coming from the Democrats. The Democrats are already trying to tie everything to the ultra MAGA and the MAGA this and the MAGA that. So just get ready, Wyatt. Well, now I'm gonna hang up because I want to hear somebody else call.
Yeah.
I like it when you have callers.
I want one of these people to call in who keeps saying that I'm blaming gas prices on Biden. Biden doesn't set gas prices. It's policies that have something to do with the direction of how the gas prices are set. Okay, let's just be clear on that. No one's sitting here thinking that Biden has an executive order over at the BP gas station executive office. That's not how the shit works. No one's stupid over here. But what happens is your policies is what guides certain directions of pricing on everything, not just gas, but on how homes are being built. I tell you what, let's leave gas out of it. Tell me, why is it 33% more to build a home in the United States? You don't get any of those products from over in Japan or China or any of that. Drywall does not come from China. Wood does not come from China. Screws do not come from China. Okay, so there's many things. Farm cows and shit are not from China. Pigs are not from China. Why is everything more expensive? Leave gas out of it. That's an easy argument because gas is up on it's up on the air. You can see the price of gas, and that's what people are hurting the most. But you know what? Honestly, more people are hurting at the grocery stores now than at the gas pump. The gas pump.
Well, why? Hold on. I got to disagree with you.
No, don't disagree with me on that.
It's less people at the grocery store because some people have big families, some people have small families, some people are single. But at the gas station, Wyatt, this is America. It's about people's cars. People drive everywhere. So it's more universal at the gas station.
Well,
than
wait a minute.
That's just mine. Just my slight little disagreement.
I know. You can disagree. That's fine. I love
that's why I'm ready to go, Wyatt.
No,
I gotta go, brother.
Okay. Well, I'll answer that when you get off. But no, I don't agree with the gas pumps are more effective or being hit harder than anything else because people can pick and choose where they drive. I mean, you got to go to work or whatever, but you can choose alternate. You can use alternate ways of transportation. But look, when you go to the grocery store, you got to get bread. Now you can go with the cheaper bread. You can go what you do. Now gas is up 33%. Groceries are up 26%. But what do you have to have? Do you have to have gas or do you have to have groceries?
But see, that's the thing though, Wyatt. On the grocery side, you can get rid of the Twinkies, you get rid of the potato chips, you get rid of the sodas.
You can't get rid of the food. But the same thing on gas.
That's why I said that when you're driving gas, you only got two choices at most gas stations. Premium and regular.
But you have an alternate way of doing transportation as well. You can ride public transportation in the Midwest. I don't know how it is.
Not out here in California. I already told you, if I would have caught the bus from the airport, it took me 2 hours to get home because we have terrible public transit out here in California. Just the way the state is made.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
But so that's a back and forth debate. But the bottom line, Wyatt, like you're pointing out, the bottom line is those two factors. That's going to be the downfall of the Democrats, just like it was with Jimmy Carter, just like it was he was the last one-term Democrat. Okay, Bush was the last one. I mean, Trump was the last one-term Republican. Now, it's a reason a president only lasts one term, Wyatt. It's a reason. It's because your party or the other party has legitimate reasons to say, no, we can't take you no more. Your leadership is messed up.
Keep in mind, Trump only had one run too, though, bro.
Yeah, but he had the most votes by any sitting president ever, and I don't even want to get into why Joe Biden wins the presidency, but the Republicans gain seats in the House. They would have been ahead in the Senate if it had not been for Georgia and what dumbass Trump said about telling people not to vote because it was rigged. So again, the point is that technically, yes, Trump lost, but
no, that motherfucker lost. Ain't no technical. He lost. Huh? Yeah, he lost.
No, I'm saying though, Wyatt, it was the Republicans showed up for Trump, but more Democrats showed up for Biden, and that caused his one term.
Right.
Now, when you get two terms, you need support from both sides. to get reelected. Okay, so again, Obama did it. He thought he was going to lose some of the black vote, but they showed up for him a second time. But again, like I said, Wyatt, this coming November is going to tell if Joe Biden is going to be a one-term president or not.
Let me say this
because
to you.
These prices going to keep going up.
No, they're definitely going to hit the roof. Okay, and we're using gas as an example because that's an easy thing to gauge. It's easy to watch the billboard that's lit up down the street or wherever you live close to the gas station. It's easy to go by every day and see a 3 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent raise every day. That's an easy one. But none of us are doing the proper calculations at the grocery store. I want to say this. My sister, Tiffany Daniels, happy belated birthday to her. I want to say this to her. She brought up the best point of our argument. She kind of made a chess move in our argument. She says there's a lot of people working from home too, and that validates my point of groceries are more important than gas because a lot of people are not driving as much now either. But that don't mean the prices of groceries are going to go down. That just means that person that's working from home now doesn't have to drive as much, but they ass still got to eat. They still got to eat.
See, there you go. And shout out to Tiffany Daniels, because guess where the offset comes from the people who stay home that's not spending money on gas. That money's being spent at the grocery store.
Well, yeah. So, but what about all the other stuff?
That's why I said it's the two items. And the amount that it affects within the two is going to vary. Shout out to Tiffany Daniels.
So now
the bottom line, when it's food and fuel, the two F's that drive this capitalistic system, food and fuel, when you have a problem with that, you're going to have a problem getting people to vote for you.
Well, maybe.
So that's why the Biden administration, that's why they're doing what they're doing, Wyatt. That's why they're pushing this story like they're pushing. They need to energize their people to think that it's going to be legislation that's going to change the pain and suffering that's being inflicted upon black people by some crazy white man or some crazy black dude in the hood who got mental issues or whatever. They're going to convince the black voter that it's legislation going to change everything.
Well,
sorry, we couldn't get the legislation done because those evil, racist Republicans.
Well,
Wyatt, I've lived it, I've seen it.
I mean, no, it just happened.
The beauty of
it just happened.
Longevity.
Hold on, drop. It just happened. I mean, no one's denying what you said because you can just say that about the Build Back Better, can't you?
Thank you.
I mean, it's the same way.
They convinced all those young people, white, black, and whatever, who went to them streets to protest the tragedy that happened to George Floyd, rest in peace. The Democrats and these sorry-ass politicians and their accomplices in the media convinced those young folks that it was legislation. Legislation don't change all this. So they get in, guess what? No legislation, and shit is worse than it was under the evil, scary orange man that I...
Yeah, but Drop, let's be honest. There are some mechanisms that's creating, it's not just legislation. It's not all of Biden's decisions that are forcing these prices. There are supply chain problems here, but listen, that isn't.
But it was the black vote that got Biden into power and kicked Trump out.
I got it, bro.
Because all these things were not happening to this degree, especially with the economy.
Keep in mind, Trump didn't go through the pandemic. He went through 6 months of it. He went through 6 months of pandemic, or about 8 months of pandemic. 2 of those months were not during the city. They were still trying to figure shit out. This happened in March, okay, of that year of 20, right? Okay, Trump was on campaign that year, and he was fighting for the shot and all, the vaccine and all of that. So he didn't really have all the
bleaches and ultraviolets, all these.
Yeah, but
what was his reasoning behind trying all these other things other than lockdowns?
Well, first of all,
the economy.
Yeah, but first of all,
he knew that he had strong economy numbers, and he knew that universal lockdowns, were going to destroy his economy, and obviously we could see that it did.
Well,
because again, there was no 9% inflation during Trump's what did you say? 18 months of the pandemic.
Correct.
Or 6 months.
But you
have
to understand.
I think it was a solid 1 year.
Listen.
Remember, he tried to open everything up in April.
Yes, I do. But let me tell you. Let me just say this to you, Drop. there was not the circumstances are not the same. You cannot compare what Biden is going through versus what Trump was going through. I mean, the supply chain situation was not in place at that time. There was not that issue going on. Trump was in a position to save, to give away and save at the same time, and some villainized him and tried to call the pandemic, or excuse me, the vaccine, the Trump situation as well. Like, I ain't gonna do this.
What did Chuck Pearl say?
Right, I know what she said. If it's from Trump, I ain't gonna take it. And then she turned around and wanted to try to sell it to everybody. I get it. Hypocrisy.
Why is this the other day the official White House Twitter account said that there was no vaccine?
Well, we know that's a lie.
Until Joe Biden came along.
Well, we know that's
a complete lie.
We know that's a lie. However, let me just say this, bro. I gotta say this. I don't want people to think that I'm blaming everything on Biden. However, I'm not going to let Biden off the hook for what's real. And when you say supply chain demands and things of that nature, you can honestly say that everything that has been a detrimental cost to the American public is not all sitting at some pier. The reason why food costs are high has nothing to do with has nothing to do with supply chain demand. It has nothing to do with that. Majority of the food in America is from America. All the produce predominantly is from America. Your bread products, your grain, and all of that, your meats, all of those are predominantly from America. And you look at the farmers, they're all paying high costs at everything because they have to generate their trucks, their excuse me, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, sorry, my mic went out. Everything costs more money to produce all of these products. So farm equipment, everything is more expensive. So you got to...
But why? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not going to sit here and let things like supply chain be the issue. Like, for instance, the baby formula. Do you know they were already saying that it was a supply chain problem when in fact only 5% of Similac comes from overseas? They had already given him an excuse when in fact 95% of Similac is produced in America. So you can see that people that don't do their homework or don't know what the fuck they be talking about already gives people outs and don't have the proper information. Predominantly, and let's keep in mind, it was a recall of Similac. There were some companies that were shut down through the fact that they had some shit they had to work out with the government and FDA and all that. That's part of the problem.
That was Abbott Labs. They shut them down, but that's another story.
But it had nothing to do with the same argument that they are making for all this other shit. And I'm not one of them brothers that you're going to be able to sit back and just, I'm going to rock with the crowd because we all the same color and all that old shit. I'm not, you can't rock me to sleep like that. And the fact that I see things a little bit different. I deal with numbers. I deal in numbers. I'm looking at interest rates. I'm looking at the cost of homes going up. I'm looking at the cost of doing business. That's more important to me than what gas is. I can live without gas. Believe it or not, that might sound crazy. If gas was $10 a gallon, knock on wood, it don't get there. But if it was $10 a gallon, it wouldn't stop me from doing my job and doing what I need to do to run my businesses. Now, it costs me more, but it's not going to stop me from doing what we need to do. However, let bread cost $9 a loaf. Let beef go up to $7 a pound. Let shit like that happen, and I don't know what the fuck me and my family will do. Now, if it hasn't affected you yet, that's because your ass ain't been to the grocery store. Or maybe you get an EBT card, and maybe they giving you a little bit more money. But eventually, that's going to catch up with you. And I don't mean it to be disrespectful. I'm saying that most of the time, the people who are not complaining are the people who will complain later. Because the people who usually do all the paying up front are the people that are the hardworking people, living check to check, paying their bills, doing what we need to do. And then we see the consequences up front. But the people that get a lot of free money, they don't get this shit, don't hit them till the end. And then they start saying shit like, well, wait a minute. Hold on, my $300 of money ain't doing shit no more. I went to the grocery store and spent $280. I got $20 left. But yet we've been doing that from the beginning. That's all I'm saying. I don't mean any disrespect.
Hey, let me give you a quick one before I go, because, man, you be trying to hold me down, Wyatt. Now, listen, I remember a couple shows ago, I don't know exactly when, you made a point, because you was talking about another show in your city, and you tried to say that there's, in media, there's a journalist, and then there's a reporter.
Correct.
Journalists, they investigate stories. they get what do you call it, inside scoop, and they come up with a story and explain it step by step. All a reporter does is just report what they seen somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And you also call them bartenders.
Some.
And most people don't want to do the journalist part because it takes work. But the reporter part is easy.
Well, but the reporter, the reporter just repeats.
It could be manipulated and spun, and it could be detrimental to the person that's receiving that information.
Absolutely. That's a bartender. And whatever spin that you want to
put. So you keep being a journalist, well, Mr. Wyatt,
you know what?
And you keep keeping it live, because I got to hang up because I want to hear you flow. I want to hear if anybody else got the courage to call in and even challenge you, because again, man, the bottom line is officially, I think it was after Friday's polling, Joe Biden officially is a worse president than Donald Trump.
Well,
but again, a journalist would tell you the truth, but a reporter, they ain't gonna report it like that. They're gonna spin it.
So I'm glad you understood my analogy very well. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, hey, Wyatt, thanks for taking my call, brother.
Thank you.
You have a good one. I'm gonna hang out with you for another 30, 40 minutes. Who knows how long you're gonna go today, because you exposing them chaos.
I'm getting out of here.
So I'll holler at you, Wyatt. Peace out, bro.
Peace and love to you and your family. Thank God I don't live in California with them $5.60 gas prices. Thank God. I couldn't do California right now with all that gas price. I'd have to stay home and work from home. I'd have to do that. But here's what I'm trying to get my point across to you. I don't want someone calling me battling. This is not what this is about. We're not battling, okay? I just want you to know that I look at things a little bit different than some of the other people who either do this or I just have a different perspective. Here's the thing. For me, I want your respect. I want you to understand me more than like me. If you don't understand me, you probably don't like me. Okay? But what's more important to me is that you understand me. You don't necessarily have to like me. But if you understand me, you'll understand where I'm coming from. I understand that there are some things that the docs are holding out there, okay, that's causing pricing to go up, or shortages. But folks, don't get that confused with inflation. That has nothing to do with inflation. Inflation is not created by the lack of goods that are sitting on a dock out there. Inflation is all about the value of a dollar. The value of your American dollar. What makes it up? What makes it go down? That's all I can say about that. Now, you decide if you want to continue to listen to people make up excuses about the value of your dollar. The more money you print, the less value your dollar has. That's why I was so banged up and mad about $40 billion going to another country. Now, do you understand that we're not only up to $54 billion? If the war ended today, if Putin said, fuck it, I ain't fucking with them no more, packed this shit and sent all his troops home, do you think it'd be over for America and Ukraine? Nope. America, who has already distributed a bunch of money, who I'm sure politicians are getting money off their stocks and money off of the investments of the equipment that's going over there. Do you really think it would be over for us spending money over there? If it ended today, if 8 o'clock tonight, Putin said, fuck it, I'm done. They didn't kick the shit out of me, kick rocks out of our ass. Let's go back and chill. We go to the beach, fuck it. You really think this would be over for America's spending? Absolutely not. Who you think's gonna build Ukraine back up if they win the war? If they lose, Russia gonna build it. That's what the whole war is about. Russia wants the territory, right? But if Ukrainians win. If Ukraine wins, how much more money do we contribute to build up another country once Russia moves out, go back to Russia, and now we're trying to build Ukraine back up? How much more money you think gonna go over there? How much? Because already our ticket is 54 billion, and now they even talking about another 13 billion before the check dry on the 40 billion. Goodness gracious, I got to figure out a way to get me in some of these billions conversations. Damn it. How long do you think it's going to be when this war is over? And it might be 5 years from now. So every month, it's going to go up $2 to $3 billion in aid that we're going to send over to Ukraine. And if it ends a year from now, we'll send them another 20, 30, 40, $50 billion to build Ukraine back up. Why is that our responsibility? And I know some people are going to say, well, you don't want Russia to get Ukraine. That will affect what? What do we buy from Ukraine that we can't do self-sufficiently here in America? They got diamonds and shit, gold, fuel. What do they have that we necessarily need? They're not even fucking part of NATO. When Trump was in office, this is one thing I do remember him doing that I was a fan of. The one thing that I can remember him doing was forcing all the other NATO countries to pay their fair share. Here we are paying $40 million a month, and everybody else was paying like $5, $6 million. Nigga, that's what you do to the, yo, come on now. All right, my old heads, I'm going to give you an analogy that y'all will know. These young folks won't know. But that's like us buying a quarter bag of weed and nigga, you know what I'm saying? You want me to pay $75 and everybody else got $5 on it. It ain't going down like that. We gonna buy an ounce? How much an ounce? 100? Okay. You want me to pay 85 on it? What y'all niggas got? Y'all got $5. You know what I'm saying? So what Trump did, I will give him credit for that. If I can't give him credit for nothing, I remember him stepping up, telling NATO. So what Trump did, I think I got somebody calling in. So what he did do was make some of the NATO players, people in NATO, pay their fair share. But why was America paying 70% of the cost of NATO? And then here we are defending a non-NATO country. Makes no sense. Here's my other question. We've sent 40 billion over this last trip. We 54 billion in. How much has Spain, Italy, all these other countries, how much have they sent? How much have they sent towards what's needed over there? I'm not saying they ain't sent nothing, but they sent any bills, any B's over there? Or are they sending M's? How is it affecting America truly? Because you know what? The last time I checked, I ain't never spent my money on some shit. I don't care how much money I ever acquire. I'm always going to ask how much that shit costs. If I go to a dealership, I ain't never went to a dealership and said, okay, I want this on it, that one it, that one it, and deliver that shit on Tuesday. I'll cut you a check. No, I'm going to ask how much this shit costs. I ain't never just bought something. Hey, maybe you better than me. Maybe you bigger than me. But I ain't never walked in. Now, I've walked in places and bought something knowing how much it costs. Oh, the J's, okay, $89.99. That's how long ago it was for me to spend that kind of money on shit like that. When J's first came out, Jordans, they was $90, and we thought that shit was a ticket. Now they $350, $600. I'm like, huh? I'm asking how much a pair of Jordans are these days. I got better shit to do with my money. Let me take a phone call real fast. Let me see if I got the caller on still. Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, it's Noah. How you been?
Hey, Noah. Long time no talk to, brother. How you been?
Been good. Been busy. Got engaged.
What?
Been you hopping.
Congratulations to you, Noah. Everybody give Noah a standing ovation, a clap. He's gotten engaged, y'all. Congratulations to you, Noah. I appreciate it. All right. So what's on your mind, man?
So I was thinking, I know there's a big connection with what you're describing with the economic issues and not this shooting, but also violent crime and the rise in suicide rates in general. People who feel like their lives are moving in a positive direction don't do stuff like this, right? Like, I guarantee you this young man is probably single and didn't go to church either. He had no sense of community, no sense of hope of where his life was going, didn't have faith in his ability to, go out there and make something of himself. So do you think it's a big connection? I think we see suicide rates and violent crime rates going up because people don't have hope because of the current economic situation. I want your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Here's the thing, Noah. You're talking about the shooter at the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that definitely drove him is COVID had a lot to do with this young man having a lot of idle time. A lot of people don't want to hear my explanation. They may think I'm giving it some excuse or some out. It's not. I just want people to know some of the things that the FBI are discovering. And that is, this young man even said, if you want to call him a young man, whatever, he's 18 years old. And I've never hated anybody in my life, to be honest. But, well, I shouldn't say that. I got two people that I hate. And now I got a third person. I really hate this young man for what he did. Some people say, you got to be God-given and God this. Listen, I really hate this young man for what he's done. But at the same time, for me hating what he did, I will be open-minded enough to understand that there's some things going on in this young man's head. And there are things that calculate his actions. In other words, there are things, the young man had COVID. He was he didn't have COVID, I'm scared. He was on lockdown. That gave him a whole lot of time out of school to be researching and getting caught up in a bartender situation, being brainwashed, not just by parents, but by the internet. This young man was guided down this path. He wasn't born this way. He got information to make him think that black folks was doing something. They put enough hate in his heart, somebody did, to make him feel like that those 10 people was going to change his life or change white folks' life in America. And it was just it's mental health. There's a combination of a whole lot of things that went wrong here.
Yeah, but it's really easy when you have no positive outlook on your future to get into those notions of evil or mental illness. Either or, it's a lot easier to act on your bad intentions when you have nothing to lose, right? It's like an animal back against the cage. You don't know what it's going to do.
Well, I don't think people that have mental health problems think about what's right and what's wrong, or I don't think they think of repercussions. That's one of the signs of mental health to me is when people, and I'm no doctor. I'm just trying to use my regular God-given common sense. I think when people take no exception to what can happen to them or the repercussions of their actions, I think that's the beginning stages of starting to look at some type of mental health issue.
Yeah, but mental illness is a spectrum, right? There are various degrees of mental illness, and when you strip away someone's anchoring factors, the thing to keep them stable, be it family, their community, their church, or their job, or whatever, that mental illness, whatever level it is, takes more of a toll on them. Well, if you do a stable job that he felt good about working at, even if he was mentally ill or even, prone to evil, having that stabilizing element in his life might have kept him from doing this.
Well, you could say that. And then there's some things that he may have been totally happy where he was, and whoever was with him, like he could have had a job working somewhere, totally happy at that job, but the people on that job could have been a very bad influence for this man. And let me just say this to you guys. I got to share this real fast. I got to share this. And no, I'm glad you're here. I got to give you an example of what I'm talking about because I faced some of this before. I had a young man that I went to high school with over in Europe. His name is Fred. He's a white guy. He was typical white guy, nice kid, had a nice family, the whole nine. He had a mother and a father at home, okay? Fred was a young man that, I've talked about Fred before. Fred was a young man that came to my home and ate soul food for the first time of his life. My mother would fix food for all of us. Fred would come over. He liked greens. He liked all the shit that we ate as soul food. He was like a little brother to me. He was a white dude who he called my mother mom. He called my mother mom. Okay? He came to my home. He spent the night at my house. I treated him as if he was a little brother to me. Now, this was when we were young in school. Now, I lost touch with Fred. Many, many years have gone by. About 5 years ago, thanks to the thing of internet and Facebook, I happened to catch up with Fred. Fred is now living in Alabama. He had a Facebook page. It kind of showed up. He must have looked me up because it said people you may be interested in knowing. And it popped up on my page and it was Fred. So I hit his page. Fred has all this Confederate, these flags and shit, swastikas all over his body, headbands, and he's standing there with a fucking rifle like this. And I'm looking at him like, no, this got to be like some poster or something. It's Fred. It's Fred who my mother fed, my mother treated as a son. And you know what I did? I didn't accept he didn't send me a friend request. I didn't send him a friend request, but I went in and sent a message to him. And I said, it's amazing how people can change. And I never heard from Fred. But this is an individual that obviously either went through something or somebody caught him, got a hold of him, and changed him. This is a young man that would have never said a racial thing around us or he was with us. He was like a little brother to me. And this white dude now is a white supremacist. And the first thing that came to my mind, and this was 5 years ago before we had Wyatt-Live or any of this, I said, what the hell? Who did what to him? Who got a hold of this kid? I knew he was very influential. I watched him in school. I kind of put him under my wing so nobody would beat him up and all this old type of shit because he was really good people. He was generous. He was a nice kid. But those are the ones that sometimes white supremacists and all these Ku Klux Klan members and shit like that, they pull in insecure people. They pull them in and they make them part of something that's bigger than what they've ever seen. And now Fred is out here calling black folks monkeys and N-words and all this other shit, when in fact it was me and my mother and a few other people that looked like me and my mother who had nothing but love for Fred. And you got to wonder, how does a kid go wrong? And he was already 15, 16 years old at that time. What happened in Fred's life in 10, 15 years that would convert him to a racist? What could possibly happen? That was not him as a kid.
Yeah, those cases certainly do happen, and that's tragic. I think in terms of a general trend, we see why the violent crime is going up and suicides going up is because people don't have hope. They don't have hope for their future. They're looking at the jobs they have that could be the same jobs that their parents had, and they weren't able to buy a house with that job and their parents could. And we don't have
That's hope. Not an excuse. It's not, I hear you, but it's not an excuse that because you can't, but see, I get it. I get it from both ends, because it's not an excuse for a white person to go shoot up a grocery store because he's not he's 18 years old. He ain't even failed in life yet, first of all. So I know there's a leader in what he did. Somebody convinced this young man. They put him on a team. I can guarantee you that. But let me just say this to you. He hasn't lived long enough to have that much hate in him. He hasn't lived that long. So it has to be a group. While he was down with the COVID situation and all the kids was locked out of school, he had a whole lot of idle time. The devil can control an idle mind. If you sit around with too much idle dead time, the devil will be right there waiting for you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, yeah, I wasn't trying to say there's an excuse. I'm just saying when people are hopeless, they're more likely to give in. And like, that's not, obviously it's not an excuse. Just like being born into that situation is not an excuse to do terrible things.
Yeah,
but it does make it easier. And you're right, with the COVID lockdown, and when you're used to getting all these other voices in your head, be it your teachers or your friends at school and whatnot, and all that's cut off, and that's your sole source of information and communication is some radical part of the internet. And yeah, things can go from bad to worse. Your mentality can change very quickly in a short period of time.
Right, I agree. Hey, Noah, thanks for calling, man, and I appreciate you. And listen, man, when is the wedding? Do you know yet? Did y'all set a date?
No, we gotta go find venues and
Okay.
Battle all the young couples, get them because they're all going to be booked to Kingdom Come since the lockdowns are ending.
I got you. So you thinking maybe a year out, maybe?
No, she's got to move in by May for a job she's getting. So we're thinking probably gonna do a winter wedding, just probably when most venues are available,
I got you, brother. Well, I'm sure it's gonna be a nice wedding, man, because you're a classy guy, and I appreciate you calling in, man. Did you have anything else?
God is great.
Mm-hmm.
The world's a messed up place. Everybody go out, try to do some good in the world.
I agree with you, brother. Hey, thanks for calling in, Noah. I appreciate you, bro.
Have a good night, lad.
You too, bro. That's Noah. He's got engaged, y'all. I wonder if Noah, did he get engaged to a sister? I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter. Don't matter. Noah's just good people, y'all. Noah, our cousin. He the Wyatt-Live. He part of the family. He just a cousin. But he part of the family. Y'all know that. He been with us since day one. And he's not afraid to tackle some of the issues and some of the things we say. Now, I think where he was going, I don't know if you guys all can hear, because it was a little muffled a little bit on my end with the phone and the mic and all that. I think what he was saying is sometimes people have too much time and on their hands, and he got into one of them groups and things of that nature. But to me, to be honest with you, I always blame parents. I ain't gonna lie. This situation at the grocery store is no different than the shit that I talk about parents. This kid's parents should be held responsible. Well, he's 18, but they had to see a year ago when he was in evaluation, the parents had to know that this kid had some problems. They had to know that this kid had some issues. They had to know. Here's one thing I want to end this off with, because I got about 10 minutes. And I want to go into it like this. I know a lot of y'all hated on me about a month ago when I was talking about guns. A lot of y'all want to blame this young man's actions on the accessibility of guns. But what did this young man do? Like I started to show off today, he hit a soft target. He hit a place that he knew old people was going to be. No chance of recourse, like nobody was going to turn around and shoot his ass. He hit people with flip-flops, shorts, and sundresses. You see what I'm saying? Like easy targets. He steps out of his vehicle, and the first person he shot was a white person, and the lady dropped directly on her face. It's an evil act. Then he shoots about 4 people in the parking lot as he's approaching the door, and he shoots into the window of the grocery store, dropping 3 or 4 other people. You can't tell me only 13 people died in this. I counted 6 outside. I counted another 3 when he got inside. I know that's like 9, but they say he kept going. No, it's about 4 on the inside I seen. I'm not one to say I told you so. But this is a perfect example of, does this kid go to that grocery store with this gun if he has to think about who would be at that grocery store that might fire back at him? And I know y'all hated on the fact that I was like, I'm all for people having guns, even if they don't have to go through the process and this and this and this and that. Because most people that carry guns are carrying them legitimately. And they're being responsible for them. But if in the back of your mind as a criminal or a crazy person, you have to think. If the law passes, you have to think. If I walk in this movie theater, or if I walk into this dry cleaners, or if I walk into this grocery store, who could shoot me in the back? Who could get me before I get them? Even a crazy person gonna think like that. If he didn't think like that, he would have never put the body armor on. So he had a point of safety for himself in mind. He brought body armor. Meaning, if somebody shoot at me, I'm protected. So he was ill, but he wasn't ill enough to say, hey, I need some protection for myself. So that same mindset would wonder, who would shoot back at me? And here's the thing, I heard arguments. I heard people, all these guns need to come off the streets, this and this and this and that. And then they turn around today and say shit like, everybody need to be strapped. Everybody need to be strapped. This is the shit that I be talking about when I talk about hypocrisy. See, it's convenient to talk about guns need to be removed off the streets, but then a week ago I told y'all if they took every gun off the street, they'd be doing shit with slingshots, bottle rockets, and all that. They'd be throwing spears and shit. They'd be throwing rocks. You know, it's not the gun, it's the mentalities. Granted, you walk into a grocery store with a slingshot, you're limited on how many people you can kill. That's a great argument. But if you walk into a grocery store with a crossbow, you can kill just as many people. So is it really the weapons that they're using, or is it the mentality? Because you know the politicians are definitely pointing in the direction of whatever's going to work for what they got to say. They want to politicize everything. This is about gun control. Is it gun control, mental health? What is it? Mentality of folks? What exactly is it? Because I know what a lot of people want to make it. I know a lot of people want to make this a racial thing because that kid had that in his head. And in the news media is definitely going to ride the wave on this shit. Because the more divisive you can be, y'all seen what I wrote in the Wyatt-Live Messenger group. I said, watch the chaos agents. Watch how they spin this shit. This is going to be an attack on Black America. This isn't going to be an isolated incident. Those same chaos agents who felt like this was an attack on Black America didn't have any energy 2 weeks ago when the brother shot up the Asians and the whites on the subway. They didn't have that same energy when the brother rolled through the parade. You making up excuses for the brother that rolled through the parade. He went through and ran over the grandmas on purpose. You made up an excuse talking about he was running from the police. No, he wasn't. He ran from the police so many miles away. He was already gone and done with. He's a crazy motherfucker. That's what he was. He went through the barricades and purposely ran through that crowd of people, and he aimed at people and he struck them with his car. The same car he used to run over his girlfriend a month and a half prior to that he had pending charges on. Nobody talked about that shit. Why? I'll let you figure out why. But let me ask you something. The FBI went to the brother's house who shot up the subway in Brooklyn, and y'all act like it was oh no, that shit didn't happen. They just lying. And what did he see? What did they see on his computer? Bartender conversations. Whitey this, kill Whitey that, Whitey this, Whitey that. But that wasn't a hate crime what he did on the subway. He shot white people and Asians. You don't think that plays a part in what somebody's retaliation, who already brainwashed by some stupid motherfucker? You don't think what that brother did on the subway, there's a retaliation or something can happen back to somebody that's innocent that had nothing to do with Brooklyn and the subways? You don't think people look at that shit and say, oh yeah, see, they are doing this shit. They are taking over. They are doing this replacement theory or this replacement of white people. They are doing this. Why don't you look at your own administration? You are not replacing America with Black folks. Think about this shit. Think about it. The replacement is not being done of Black people. Check your borders. Look at this abortion situation. Who do you think, I don't really want to get into this, But who do you think, what race or group of people is penalized the most if they overturn the abortion laws? I seen a statistic today that made absolutely no sense. Sorry, made no sense to me. I'm a numbers dude. It made no sense to me. And they try to justify the shit, typical, but it made no sense to me. What is it? 39% of abortions are held by by white folks. 20-something% are by black people. But yet the argument was the reason why they want to stop abortions is so that they can depopulize black people. That doesn't even make sense. I can't even explain it the right way. It made no sense to me. When in fact, we all know, if you do your studies, if you do your homework, we all know who created the abortion situation and the purpose of it. It was population control of black folks in America initially. It had nothing to do with, oh, poor little Joanne having a baby at 13. It had nothing to do with that. It was all about population control of the African American, of the black community. I am pro-choice. Just for those that want to bitch and argue at me or who or what decisions you think might be floating through my mind, I'm a pro-choice man. I believe women should have a choice to do what they do with their bodies. However, I do hear both sides' arguments, and I respect both sides. I was a child of a young mother, chose to have me. Thank you, mother. It can work itself out. But I'm not one here to tell. I'm not one here to tell people who are not ready to have a child to abort a child. But I'm not one here to tell you have that child. I'm here to tell you something that is, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. How about let's just not have children? Let's not do the things we need to do to have children if we're not ready to produce one, if we're not ready to take care of one. Let's not make those errors. Let's not do grown people shit if we're not ready to be grown. Or parents, if you got a hot ass little girl, you better get her on something. And parents, if you got a little boy that's trying to stick everything, you better talk to him. I can't preach about that. I come from the days where all my friends had babies when we was 14, 15 years old, all but me. I'm not tripping. I just know that we needed to be taught. It didn't have to be that way. The reason why we was dropping babies, I'm going to say we because it's my generation. The reason why we were dropping babies back in our day, whether y'all want to hear it or not, it was pure irresponsibility. We didn't have shit. We didn't have a future set up yet. So why are we going to bring somebody in this world on irresponsible decisions that we were making? I know some of y'all going to call me what's that shit y'all like? Some of y'all fake ass uppity black folks like to call people who make that type of comment. Y'all like to call us elitists. But if I'm an elitist because I say some real shit, then okay, I'll go into whatever you want to try to shame me to be. But if 13, 14-year-olds can't raise children, they have no business doing things that bring children in this world. They should be focused somewhere else. Shit, I did everything in the world to keep my babies under some little dude. Damn it, if that mean I had to take off work, if that mean I had to put them in some sports I didn't even like, shit, my one baby, my God, I ain't even gonna say. She tried some shit at school one time and played the sport called, what's that shit called? Lacrosse. I said, the what? Lacrosse? Who the fuck? All right. First thing come to my mind, if it's going to keep her out on the field and away from all this shit out here in the world, baby, we can go play dominoes for a sport. We can play field hockey. I don't give a shit. Just keep my baby out of the line of all these dudes that ain't got no good intentions. As a parent, I owe my child Everything she wants to do that's going to distract her from all these other distractions. Just stay focused on school, and we'll do all these extra activity. We'll do all this extra activity stuff together, babe. I'll get you to practice. I'll do all that shit. How much is the uniforms? Okay, let's get it. I even sat my ass out there and watched the sport I didn't even understand. Throw the ball. Throw the ball. Catch it. They out there throwing the ball with a stick. I ain't never seen that shit in my life growing up downtown. All right. Soccer was the closest. This was a combination of stickball, volleyball, basket. It had every game that I had never, I never played. My baby wanted to play it, but it kept her off the streets. It kept her out of blogs, off the internet. It kept her out of a whole lot of shit. And as a parent, that is my ultimate duty, is to keep my kids focused on something productive. Some of y'all letting y'all internet service, y'all letting Spectrum and Cox Cable raise your children. You're letting TikTok raise your children. Yeah. And then you got a whole lot to say about the system. That system ain't sitting there asking you to come to it. That system is for people that make bad decisions. And everything that comes from that system, it comes from the decisions that were made by individuals. Y'all know I say this shit every time just to put the icing on the cake of my point of that. I can't stand when dudes, I don't care what color they are, whatever. I can't stand when dudes talk that shit about child support. As if child support recruited you. Nigga, you signed up for child support. You know why? Because you stepped out with all these different women, or the one or two or whatever, and you dealt with somebody that once you had a child, you couldn't deal with them anymore. So now she is using the courts to do what needs to be done. And now you mad at a system that you signed up for. Nigga, you signed up for that army. You signed up for that for your irresponsible behavior. It's nobody else's fault. You know, I heard the craziest shit in the world one day. I thought it was fake. Somebody said, man, this was somebody that was in jail. You know what somebody told me, man, we went to jail, bro. They was treating us like we was fucking prisoners. I said, bro, stop playing. Nah, man, they was nigga putting nothing on the plate. Treating nigga like we was prisoners. I said, nigga, where you think you been? You went to the joint. Yeah, man, but this didn't got worse. Then they put the weights up. Nigga can't get his weight. He can't get his workout on. Man, they just doing us bad in there. I said, okay. Let me understand. The vacation is over when you go to the joint. That's what you're saying. I'm listening with my ears, and I'm saying, thank God in my heart. Because maybe this brother will tell the other ones, bro, y'all don't want to go there. You don't want to go to the joint. You don't want to go there. They ain't feeding us right. They treating us like prisoners now. It's crazy. That's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. I was going to show that video today, but I don't think I want to show it today. If I don't show it today, I probably will never show it. So I may have to let this one pass, guys. If you haven't seen it, it's in our messenger group on Wyatt-Live. If you would like to be a member, if you like to join the family, we ain't got the choir to play the music and shit. Come on up. You know how they welcome you into church. Come on up. They play the theme songs and the musics and shit to get you going. Pastor saying, he wipe his face. Lord, the house is open. All that. I ain't got to do all that. But we do have our own thing in the Wyatt-Live messenger group, the family group. The doors are open. Crystal, I don't know if you want to see this, babe. You have a mother. You have family members. This is not an easy see. This is not an easy look, sis. And to be honest with you, I will speak my piece about it. I'll speak my piece about it and then I don't want to be part of the chaos of what it is already. I really don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be part of what I know is a demon and what happened. But I tell you what I will do. I won't play it on the show, sis, but I'll text it to you. I don't know if I can text it. It's like 2 minutes long, a minute and a half or something like that. I'll make sure that you get it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not an easy watch, because this is like some shit that you're not going to believe. And here's the thing. It looks like a movie, but my mind and my heart knows that it's not a movie. And the first person he gets out of the car and shoots, I've never seen someone get shot like that. And the reaction was a pure bullet to the chest and a pure, no reaction, just a pure fall straight to the face. And I swear on my grandmother's grave, all I could think of was my baby, because this was a young girl. And I'm saying to myself, how could you just shoot a motherfucker like that, bro? And this is why I believe this young man does not deserve to be on this planet. I don't give a shit about the mental health. I don't give a shit about all the people who used to be on death row who found out they ain't on death row no more. Fuck all that. Ain't got shit to do with what this young man actually did. There's proof. This motherfucker told on himself. He wore a helmet with a camera on it. It don't get no more snitching on yourself than that. And then go live. Yeah. It don't get no closer than that when it comes to snitching. You told on yourself. You committed murder 1 on live camera. And here, for those that say some dumb shit like, I can't believe his attorney went to court and said not guilty. Well, you got to understand, there's this thing in America called, there's a due process. And all they're going to do is he will eventually plead out. But what they're going to do is they're going to add things to his mental. Only a crazy motherfucker would do something like this, y'all. It only makes sense. I ain't mad because they're going to add mental problems on this dude. Come on, man. Just be honest. The bottom line is it ain't nobody that's seen that young man. By the time you finish blaming him and him being a racist and all that old shit you want to call him, at the end of the day, by the time you see this video, you'll say, this motherfucker crazy. You can't just say that's hate. That's a combination of mental illness being led by someone who was coaching him to be evil. Bottom line. And when you do something like that without any repercussions, or without you thinking of any repercussions, that means you have some mental issues. Now, y'all easy to say a brother that'll shoot up the Brooklyn fucking subway was mental. He had it up to here. You easy to say that the brother who rolled through the damn parade had mental issues. Look at his mugshot. That nigga crazy. There's no doubt that the little 16-year-old that went into the black church in North Carolina years and years ago, who shot 9 black folks, that's a mental situation that's been led. He's a weak-minded individual led by manipulators. They used him to accomplish something that they wouldn't do themselves. That's what happens. His parents are responsible for that. I blame their parents just like I blame our parents in our neighborhood when you see brothers shooting other brothers in broad daylight at the fucking Walmart in the back of the head, execution style, in broad daylight. Remember that scene from New Jack City? Rockabye baby. Bang! In the back of the head in broad daylight. Who does that? Same folks that's sitting here talking about what this white boy then did to us, which is, listen, give me 15 minutes in the room with the kid. That's all I need. And y'all know where I stand with it. You'll know where I'm at with it if you give me 15 minutes with him. But at the same time, it can't be all right. Think about it. Y'all yelling about this shit. Dude got burned on Craft last night. And not last night, broad daylight yesterday. I don't hear no talk about that shit. I don't see no talk about that. Shot him up for broad daylight right in Craft on Winton Terrace. Little former boxer of mine, not of mine, pardon me, that I dealt with, shot at the gas station a week and a half ago. Shot the car up, got shot like 9 times. I don't hear nobody talking about that shit. It was on the news for its 30-second, 35-second clip. No love, no combination. All we say is the same shit. Y'all know we got a recorder and we got a button that we hit every time something like that happens. Bang. Senseless shooting at the supermarket, at the Speedway gas station. Senseless shooting at the Walmart. Senseless shooting at the Target. These things are happening every day. Now we got all this pushback and we want to talk about the damn grocery store shooting as if we ain't out here pulling triggers and doing the same shit too. I know you don't want to hear that. I know that nobody want to really hear that. I know they didn't really want to hear that. He a dumb motherfucker. What's the excuse of us doing what we doing now? The white dude, he did what he did. What was the excuse of the dude that shot up the subway? He tired of them Asians. He tired of them white folks. What about the dude in Wisconsin who rolled over the grannies? That could have been your grandmother. Could have been my grandmother. Rolled over the whole damn parade. Went by a little 3-year-old standing on the side of the damn parade, and he zoomed by that dude inches away from knocking that little boy over with a SUV. Mental health. That's what that is. Mental health. As horrific as this situation was, as much as I can't justify it, I'm not trying to. All I'm saying is we better start paying attention to everything. If you're just going to get up here and let a chaos agent convince you that there's a war on black people, shit, you better have that same energy when they're picking our brothers and sisters up in Winton Terrace, downtown, over the Rhine. You better have that same energy. Let me ask you a question. I said this to a friend of mine. That's right, Delita. Domestic violence. Black women are it's more common for you to go through a punishing situation in a domestic violence situation than it is out here on the streets. And that's your own home. That's your own home. So now let me tell you how the media work. I had this conversation with a friend of mine today. Let me ask my smart people something. And I mean this. This is a true question. I fly a lot, but I also drive my car a lot. As we're looking right now, there's 3,500 airplanes in the air randomly right now over the United States of America. 3,500. You might not be able to see any, but there's over 3,000 airplanes in the air on the hour. I fly a lot. I'm scared of heights, but I'm not afraid to fly. Now, let me ask you a question. True, real deal ass question. When I get on a flight, am I more likely to die on an airplane or in my automobile? I'll repeat it. Am I more likely to have taken a fall and die when I fly to California or New York? Is it more likely that I'm going to die when I get on that flight going to New York? Or do I stand a chance of dying in my car driving to Columbus, Ohio? Or to work, to the office downtown? I'm more commonly, it's more common, it's a bigger chance that I'm going to die in my car than it is an airplane. But you know what? Every time an airplane perishes, every time an airplane crashes, it's a bigger situation than a car crash. You know why? Because the media leads that. And here's the other thing. 100 people died on the flight. 200 people died on the flight. It's a bigger situation because somebody's leading the argument. You understand? Like, they can swear the argument the way they want to swear it. And it's the same way with what we do with a lot of other things. Just pay attention to the math. The math tells the truth. So if it's more likely for me to die in an automobile, let me ask you something. Why aren't I scared? Why aren't I more scared in an automobile than I am an airplane? And if you look at the airplane being 30,000 feet in the air, it looks like a higher risk. It looks like a higher risk to be, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. It looks like a higher risk to be in an airplane, but it's not. So I'm going to take a call before we get out of here. I'm sure somebody that's going to burn me up. I'm sure somebody going to burn me up, but that's okay. I can take it. I'm a big guy. Hey, good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, I'm not going to burn you up, and I ain't going to talk long. This is Darlita.
Oh, Miss Hill, what's good? That's my sister. What's up, Queen?
No, I mean, it's really hard to talk to people on multiple subjects. They don't want to hear it. I get that. I had that same challenge when I'm discussing everything, and it'd be like, people be like, oh, that ain't none of my concern. Mm-hmm. So that's why the media focus on what the majority people listen to. That's how they get their money.
I don't know about that. I think the media sets the tone of what we listen to. I think the media, if they wanted to talk about something, they would.
Let's think about this. Whatever's floating through Facebook and all that, and they get more hits and more shares, then the media will spend more time on that story.
Yeah, but that don't mean they don't have to tell the truth. They could tell that certain things happen, but they don't necessarily spread the truth. They just want to let you know and give you half-ass stories and then put the spin on it. The media, the news media on television uses this word called allegedly. You know what that means? That means this is what somebody said. We don't know if it's true or not, but this is what somebody said. So whenever a news media I'm sorry, I'm just saying, anytime they start using these cold words like allegedly and shit like that, they really don't know.
That's true, but people, everybody, they have their belief and their belief system at the end of the day.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It's very hard to change that. People want to believe something, even if it ain't true. And I found out very hard, even with talking with people, because they say, well, show me, and I'll be like, well, I got it from this, and this. They don't want to look at it because they already believed in one article that they already believed in. I
agree with you. And that's why I had a problem, Miss Delita, on that situation. I was listening to the radio, and this brother had a great, it was good. I don't want to say great flow about what happened at the grocery store, but think about this. You're talking about these black folks getting shot at the grocery store, and then you incorporate a story about 5 more people getting shot on Sunday at church, and 5 of them died, 1 got injured, and they now looking for the man. When you hear a story like that brought into the conversation of what happened to the grocery store, you would have to assume that those 5 black people were, that those 5 people were black people at the church. Wouldn't you assume that when somebody brought that up during what happened at the grocery store?
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, this is reality. Nobody wants to talk about their own family or their own kids.
No.
They don't want to hear that.
No, I understand.
know, but I'm saying this is that when people talk about black people, like, I was talking to my friend today, I was like, we get all mad, just like you were saying, but there's so many blacks getting killed by blacks. Oh, that don't exist. I'm like, how the hell do it not exist?
Well, that's one of them things, Miss Delita, that they try to shame you into thinking that your common sense is nonsense, and that's ridiculous. Do you know that 95%?
That's the general public. General public.
Well, it's 94% of the homicides that happen in our community are done by us. So how could you fear somebody else? How could you fear why would I fear somebody that I got a 6% chance? I got a 94% chance, Miss Delita, that your ass will take me out. Somebody that looked like you could kill me.
Well, this is what I said. My son is black. I said he has a double-edged sword, not just from the police, the white community, whoever races, but also the black community. But no, when you talk that amongst black people, they don't really want to hear that sometimes. And it's very hard. It's like, well, I know. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
let
I
me
don't care
say,
what they think.
I
to be
agree
honest,
with you,
but
Ms.
that's
DeLita.
just how they think.
I agree
And
with
I'd be
you.
like, I have to watch out for him from everybody. Like y'all see the stuff in the news. I had friends who lost they sons to the gun violence, and it wasn't through no mass shooter.
Come on,
You know, it wasn't
come
through
on.
no KKK. It was
Come
through
on.
another black individual.
And I've spoken to those parents before. Miss DeLita, do you know I would be listen, I'm scared to death with daughters. I would be horrified with sons because here's the thing. Do you know it's not necessarily the police you need to watch out for? It's so much shit going on out in these streets that you got brothers out here getting killed by mistaken identity. They think that it's another brother that did some other shit and they look like, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, that's true. I was out
Come
here
on, man.
delivering one day and a car blocked me in. They rolled down the window on me and I couldn't get out because it was car front and car back. And they rolled down the window on me and I was like, I'm here for delivery. And they rolled the window back up.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Well, listen, let me tell you what happened to me, Miss DeLita, because a lot of people think that I be on some bullshit. I be on some bullshit sometimes. Let me tell you what happened to me as an African American, as a black man. I don't do the African American shit. I'm a black man right here in America. I'm a black man.
Thank you.
Let me just tell you what. Let me tell you what happened to me at a younger age. I was mistaken for somebody else because there's always somebody out here that fits your description, not by the police, but by some dudes on the street. Like, oh, we about to get dude. And if I wouldn't have hit some light at a certain time, it ain't no telling what they would have did to me under the impression that I was somebody else. Okay? And that's what's going on in our streets as well. We don't talk about that because we too focused on we talking more about what's being done to us than what we doing in our own community. When in fact, if you do the math, you're more likely to be killed by somebody that look like you. And it's the same thing with white folks.
They don't want to hear that though, but they don't want to
Yeah, but it's the same thing in all communities. I'm not singling us out. White people are more prevalent to be taken out by somebody that look like them. That's just how it works, okay? So why are mainstream arguments and our people are focusing on somebody that don't look like us? Whenever we get done in by somebody that don't look like us, we in a war. Now, see, I don't want to dilute or water down my argument.
They can generate dollars for them programs that they don't even put toward the programs. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons.
Yes, well, listen, you and I both know. I just want to go back to this situation right here. I was reading a comment on the screen. I just want to get back to one thing that we don't talk about. We don't talk about how many of our brothers and sisters that are being knocked off on these streets, and they didn't have nothing to do with what happened. It was a mistaken identity, and you know what? What happens is this.
I agree.
It's these other dudes that's out here doing people wrong, and then they brothers and their real brothers are facing the consequences.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm gonna just add to this. It's a lot of little kids being caught in the crossfire too.
Well, that was happened to Miss James. Miss James lost Pup at the damn Family Dollar in Avondale. Pup is not no street kid. Pup was a 13-year-old little innocent child coming out of Family Dollar, and you got these dumbass kids with guns shooting in Family Dollar like they the damn Wild Wild West, and she loses her grandbaby. Somebody explain to me why we should still be talking about these young boys shooting in Family Dollar.
I said, where's Black Lives Matter when Black lives are being killed by Black lives? I mean, and I understand their agenda too, but where is the big agenda and the big push for that? They made us not believe it was that much as important. That's all I can say.
Well, it's not necessarily Black Lives Matter who's making us believe that that's not important. What happens is people think that their argument is more important. Black Lives Matter did not influence me. I don't think they influence anybody. I'm not saying that their argument is not legit. But I'm saying, why are you prioritizing that argument over one of the arguments where the math shows that there's a bigger problem than what they're arguing?
I'm saying if Black Lives Matter, it should matter all the way around. That's all I'm saying.
But see, here's the argument. Here's
so
the argument.
Their agenda's just different.
Here's the argument. And I understand people who defend Black Lives Matter, but I just want to give you, I agree with you. But here's what they say. These are people that want to play devil's advocate and want to argue for them. They say that's not what we do. We're not here to argue what's happening to the Black community. Maybe it's just a bad name, because a name like Black Lives Matter should be covered in all aspects of Black lives. You should care. It's like the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers cared in all aspects of Black people in this country. They cared about our economics. They cared about our schooling, our housing, our diets. They cared about all aspects of Black folks in this country. They didn't just care only when the police beat us up or when there was a misjustice or illegal shooting by the police.
And what did the government do? What did the government do to them? You know, to disband them. Even though we got some still around, but it ain't. I don't know.
The real ones always take the loss. That's all I can tell you. It's always going to be those that buy into the real system. The same system that people talk about is hurting us. That system is the one that's never checked. It's the one that's to get along. We're going to make sure that they keep feeling this certain kind of way. As soon as somebody come along and say the opposite, or tell the truth about what's going on, those people are removed and are influenced to do something different.
Are we still looking for our oppressor to help us, right?
Well, here's the thing. I'll say this. I'm a big advocate, Miss Delita. I'm a big advocate in that I don't want nobody to help me. All right. I'm big on that, because here's what happens. Not everybody is helping you for you. They helping you for themselves. Let me explain. When the government gives you assistance.
That's the American way.
Yes. And if the government, I don't want anything from the government, because I will always owe them. Okay. I don't want any help from you. I don't want any. You give me an apartment, I can't paint it. You give me an apartment, I got to pay you a certain amount of rent. You give me an apartment, I got to live by your rules. You give me food stamps, I got to buy the food you want me to buy. I can't buy what I really want. You give me this, you give me that. You controlling what I do with my life. Now, that's just how I see shit. That's just me. I don't want anybody to control you.
You still controlled by the government. You don't own your house.
Well,
you don't own the land of your house.
Well,
you
here's
just
the thing.
Own that house. If you don't pay the taxes, they can take it. Anything you own to me, they can't take. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. Well, anything I own, they can't take. If you pay off your house and you don't pay them taxes, or something happens, they can take it. You didn't own it then. You got to
understand something. You're right in the aspect, but let me explain to you what taxes on property are. I don't know for those that want to hear this or not. You're not really paying taxes on your property. People might think that's what it is. They're just using the property as a tax base, the value of what you should be paying. If you look at your tax bill, look at all the things that you're paying in your property taxes. You're paying for a school that you don't even go to and your kids don't go to. You're paying for sewer. You're paying for a lot of things that You're paying for things that have nothing to do with your home. So they're just utilizing that home as a tax value base. All right. A lot of people don't really look at it that way.
Well, what's the difference then? That's what I'm saying.
Well, they got to use something.
Control you in a way.
They don't really control you. The only thing they control is the fact that if you don't pay that tax, here's the thing. I can't use renting and the government. I can't use that as the same thing. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you're a property owner, you have a whole lot more options in life. Okay. You have a lot of things you can do with that property value. And what I mean by that is you have tax write-offs, you have interest write-offs from the loans, you have property equity situations. You can borrow against that property.
Yeah, but think about this. You buy a house and you get a 30-year loan. You're paying what, 10, 15? I mean, really, you paying, if you buy a $100,000 house, you got 30-year loan, you're probably paying what, $300,000 or 400,000 more on the house. You know, in all reality, if you really think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
the bank's got you too.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but you don't pay for a house forever. Like grandparents today or whatever, some people are already halfway through their home. If you buy a home at 25, 30 years old, by the time you're my age, you're almost done with your house. You see what I'm saying? This is why it's important to make these better decisions when we're young, because by the time you get my age, you're at the finish line of a lot of things in life. And I don't mean your life. I mean the things that you have committed to put you in an equitable situation in this thing called America. A lot of people don't look at it that way. They'd rather buy.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Like that, but
I'm just saying. I got this saying that I say, and a lot of people don't like me for this. Miss James, I'm sorry, I got Pup's age wrong. Pup was 16, he was 16, not 13. My apologies. To me, he's still a baby. 13, 16. I'm sorry, I got it wrong, but he didn't deserve what he got. He was an innocent child out here in the Cincinnati area, and he did not deserve what happened to him, nor did his family deserve. And here's the thing. How many of the people that had nothing to say, I mean, nobody really concentrated on that situation, but I will say this. How many, Miss James, how many times has Channel 9, Channel 5, Channel 12, Channel 19 been in your house now that they caught the kids that shot and killed Pup? How many times they ain't done no retractions? They ain't came in and showed the face of the individuals. You know why? Because none of that shit really mattered. It never really mattered. But they plaster in the face of somebody that they want to keep you rallied up on. All right, and they should put the white kid's face up on the screen for doing what he did. But you also got to hold these other people responsible for the shit they doing as well. I mean, it's just, you got to show the same type of commitment, of effort of trying to stop this shit. And I just don't see it.
Yeah, but politicians ain't going to speak up with that because those are black voters. And then the black voters will counter react. Oh, you're only picking on the blacks.
Well, yeah.
The only way they hold their jobs is through voters, regardless of how they think.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's the truth. The masses win. You can have a whole bunch of ignorant ass people, and how they win is through the election.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, it's been proven.
And so they cater to whatever the people want, because that's how they hold their job.
Yeah,
I know some good people that ran and they didn't get elected. But,
it's been proven. You're absolutely right. All right, Ms. DeLita, I'm getting out of here. My time is almost up.
All right. I apologize.
No, that's okay. What else? You got anything else?
No, but I agree with a lot of stuff you said toward the end. I'm like, oh God, I got more respect for that.
Oh, so we finally found a common ground.
Oh, we had a bunch of common ground.
I told you would come around. I told you would come around. It's just a matter of time. You know, us smart people, we think alike and we do alike. It just sometimes some of us, it take a little bit while to come around to the other side
I think people are smart and make dumb decisions, but again, some people are more, I would call it brainwashed, to be honest. They don't want to hear that.
I agree.
So.
Well, I don't know. So, I mean, we just got to be careful in the things that we believe in. We got to be careful who we let our kids come around. You know, all of these things are prevalent in our life. We just have to be careful.
Can I say this one thing too? Because I heard another caller from California, and I just think like a lot of black people say, "Oh, I'm Republican now that I got money." Okay, so when you earn money through whatever you do, that's you earning it. It had nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. And people always put that into their thing. Well, I'm a Republican now and I got money.
No, that ain't how that go. Come on, Miss DeLita. That's not how that go. That's not how it go.
What is a Republican agenda though? To be honest, I don't trust neither one of them. But what is their agenda?
See, my thing is this. I think both sides have a false perception of one another. That's just me. I believe that Republicans feel a certain way about Democrats, and this is obvious, and Democrats feel a certain way about Republicans. That's an obvious, comment I just made. But I think
and neither one of them come together to think about the people as a whole. That's the major problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They don't come together and say, these are all our constituents. What can we do to help them out? And all they do is they use each other, and it's not a win-win for nobody.
I can agree. I can agree with that. I can agree that there has to be a common ground somewhere down the line. I don't know what it's going to take in this world. I don't know what's going to have to happen for the common ground to kick in. I don't know. It's obviously not violence. It's definitely not us coming together when something happens in the community. We've tried that. It's not going to be when somebody shoots us up in the grocery store, because once the media gets a hold of it, they're going to spin it the way they need to spin it. It's going to be a group of people that just have to get on the same page and say, hey, we're tired of this, we're tired of that.
Right, but again, I feel it's when everybody considers everybody Americans. We live by these titles, and that's what separates us anyway. You know, they say, like I said, I'm African American at every application, but you don't see European Americans. Most of these people did not come from America, but they're labeled as American and through the history that they teach in public schools too, or any school. You know,
Yeah.
so we're all separated by the labels, and then they say, oh well, you know, you're an American, but then why am I labeled African American? I don't know nobody in Africa. I don't take away that that's where my ancestors were from, but take away the label and we're all Americans. If you're born on the soil, you know, that's the one thing that really has to be worked on. We're separated by titles.
I agree.
So we're gonna always be divided.
I agree. And I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the problems that I've had in my life, to be honest with you, is I've just recently started using the African American name, and I kind of got away from it again. I don't do that. I'm a black man here in America. I just had this thing. Jesse Jackson started that in America years and years and years ago, decades ago. He called, and I'm sure it was ear for him. It was ear music for him to be what he is. And what happened is Jesse Jackson created or said some things about African American, and that's when we got labeled. And of course, when people as strong influencers like Jesse Jackson, when you hear it from him, it gotta be right. And I just found myself to be a black man in America. I don't.
It seems like everybody got to have a leader, right? So I mean, we went from niggers to Negroes to Afro Americans to African Americans. So we've been labeled so many things since we've been here, you know.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm not happy with a lot of the labels that we've been called. And unfortunately,
but we were born after era of where they were controlled more or less anyway. So and people are still controlled. So if you don't think for yourself, somebody else will think for you. This is just what it is.
I agree. All right. Appreciate you, Mr. Leader. I appreciate you coming in and giving us your assessment of everything. I appreciate you being a huge part of what we do here. Thank you, Queen. I really appreciate you, believe it or not. I love the fact that you come in with the strong opinions, and I love you for that. I really do, Queen. I really do. I do. I love the fact that
I appreciate your show, but did you see the message I put? Why don't you go to motivational speaking? I mean, they do pay for that too. And you might hit a lot of the young people who need to hear that, because really, like, the listeners are more older people anyway.
Well, maybe you can.
Maybe
Mr. Leader, you can be my agent. Maybe we'll talk about it, and you can book me or whatever we need to do. But I'm not a very good motivational speaker, to be honest with you. I just like to speak on, what I see and what's going on. I'm not scripted. Okay, so that's a very hard area for me to sit down and script out some stuff, and it becomes commercialized for me when it's scripted. When I speak from the heart and I go with it, it works out a little better for me. I may make a lot of errors, punctuation errors and things of that nature, but people who have ever tried to do this for one time, one show, do what I do for 1 week, day after day, and see if see if people will last. It's a very difficult thing to do, and that's why I give props to those that's been doing it for many, many years. I kind of pull back my props to those that's been bullshitting for many, many years, because it ain't that hard to sit back and be a fan favorite when you bullshitting people. That ain't the hardest thing to do.
Well, it's a money game, though. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter if they believe what they're saying. If they make the money off of it, they're going to say it.
And see, that's the difference. The authenticity of what we got going on Wyatt-Live is I don't make a dime for my comments. I don't make a dime. I don't get paid if you follow the directions or if you don't follow the directions. If you love my comments or disgrace my comments, it makes no difference financially to me. All right. And that's why I think that it's the realest of anything that people want to call real. I'm not a reporter. I'm more of a journalist. And that means whenever I look into something, I put my own teeth in it. I don't share third party, fourth party, fifth party information. And I generally don't talk a lot of shit about things that I don't know anything about. And I can use my own personal experiences to get my point across. And that's more valuable than anybody. Oh, as far as I'm concerned, anybody that can do that has more value in what they're doing. That's why nobody
Much
can.
respect. Much respect.
That's why this, Miss Delita, somebody like Nancy Pelosi could never represent me. This lady is worth $200 million and going, and her husband is capitalizing off of that war. They capitalizing off stock purchases. They capitalizing off the defeat and the failure of this country.
Okay.
And I can't let somebody lead me like
and
that.
all the people in there. So when we see you doing what they do, you narrow it down, and then it's blaming all the Democrats.
No, I
so
did.
We all know that Republicans are doing it too.
But wait a minute.
I know, but you mentioned the one name, right?
I mentioned the Speaker of the House. That's a different situation. That's the person who leads.
But they all.
No, I always go to the leader.
They all have a thing in it. They really all have a big role in the stuff that's going on.
Let me explain to you, Ms. Delita. My whole life, I've never hit the low man on the totem pole. I don't prove myself by hitting the small guy on the team. I prove myself by hitting the big guy. So when I say Nancy Pelosi, I'm talking about the highest Democrat there is in Congress, and that's Nancy Pelosi. That's why I hit her, because she is making money off of stock options that her husband have interest in, and they're making decisions by spending and signing off on $40 billion going over to Ukraine. I think I'm barking up the right tree when I say that.
No, I understand.
And it's not a Democrat thing. Shit, if Paul Schumer, if one of these Republicans, I don't know, if DeSantis, one of the Republicans, was the Speaker of the House, I'd have this same opinion. It wouldn't make me any difference if it's a Republican or a Democrat who's making these decisions. Or the Speaker of the House. It makes no difference to me.
Okay, so we're just talking about the people right now that's in office then.
I'm talking about it all, because here's the thing. When you have things going on in this country and you're making decisions and you're pump faking the truth by saying that the reason why the prices in America are going up on things is because of the chain out there, and it's not true, and I know it's not true, I have to address that. I have to say something about that. All right, I'm not going to and I say that for my people. I'm not saying that shit because I just want to be argumentative. I'm telling you that cows don't come from, we're not using China cows. We're not using China fertilizer. We're not using that. We're using shit that's right here grown in America that don't have to get through the pipe, the thing up there at the docks. There's a reason why homes are costing more.
It does depend on foreign stuff, for real. Even when it comes to their tooling, or they need something, the parts come from other countries. You cannot.
Not all things. Not all things.
Not all, but a lot do.
But if you
look, I'm gonna tell you what. See, when you work in companies and you think this American brand and most of that car is made out of foreign parts, you get a real ideal understanding of a lot of things.
Well, I know that a Ford is not built primarily on American-made products.
I didn't name no company.
I did. I know that when you look at a Ford, you can find some parts
it ain't just Ford.
No, it's GM. It's a whole lot of American cars. But you can also say the same thing about Toyotas. Toyotas are built. They're Japanese cars, but they got some plants over in Indiana, and they do use some American-made parts. They do use some American-made parts.
Right, but they don't bolster America. They don't sit there and say we're all America, though. You know what I'm saying? They're not working off of the people in America. We already know Toyota's from, wherever.
Yeah, they from Japan. I got it, but I'm just saying, like, don't sit here, not you, but as the leader of this country, don't sit back and say that the reason why we have a supply chain problem with Similac, or the reason why we have a problem with Similac is because of supply chain. That's not true. Only 2%.
That's a part. Hold on, that's not all of it, but that is a part of it.
No, it's not at all. No, it's not at all. See, you've been told that, and you believed it when they told you that. It's not the part. It's not a problem with it at all. 98% of Similac is made in America.
I was talking about the recall too.
Yeah, but that's different. But that's a different argument. But people are sitting back talking about supply chain. That's not the reason why Similac is a problem for us right now.
It actually puts a lot of things put a nail into issues that we've been having. I'll tell you that.
So let me ask you this: why are the price of homes going up? The construction of homes. What's the problem there? Are we getting lumber from Japan?
Are you talking about now?
Sure.
When did it go up?
Oh, well, it's been up. It's been up for the last year and a quarter now. I'm talking about to build homes, not the price of houses that are already built. I'm talking about to construct a new home. It's over 33% higher to do that now through construction costs. What are we getting in Japan? Or excuse me, what are we getting in China or overseas that has?
No, it's corporate. It's businesses that do that though. They drive up the price for money,
No.
and they can take advantage of a situation.
Miss Delita,
you can put the blame. No, I'm just saying. It's all correlated anyway, because most government-owned businesses in America or overseas, and they control a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, that is even before, again, Biden got in. We really had all these issues.
Okay. I'm just
telling. It wasn't something that he just got when he got in. America's been overspending anyway before Biden got in. You know, and the stock market, to me, has been inflated before he got in. You know,
so
and you won't see those numbers until,
So you think the stock market has something to do with inflation?
No, I'm saying the stock market's been a bubble before he got in.
Stock market is a game.
Those prices were it's what someone willing to pay. All right.
Stock market is a game. Okay, it has nothing to do with inflation. It has nothing to do with inflation whatsoever.
You don't think that?
No, I know it doesn't. I don't have to, we don't have to get into a debate. You'll never win that argument with me, Miss Delita. The stock market has nothing to do with the value of a dollar.
I said the stock market was a bubble.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I said it was a game.
It has to do with everything with the dollar, because people put their dollars into the stock market. So when the stock market crashes and these people don't lose their money, that's a dollar right there. And that goes with people spending money, because if people lose money in the stock market and they whole life saving in there, then they're not going to spend, right?
Well, I'm sorry. Repeat that. Say that.
If people lose their money in the stock market, they're going to slow down their spending. That's
generally what happens. But most people who are in the stock market are not there to capitalize on dividends right away anyway. So when you're losing money in the stock market, it's not stopping you from getting groceries right away. No one earns a living in the stock market and look for instant dividends.
Okay, when the recession happened and that stock market went down, and people lost a lot, and then jobs lost because their money was in that stock, right? So then they had to lay off workers, right? And then people didn't have jobs. So it all works together, whether you want to believe it or not.
I think that the stock market is a game. It's a game, and when I say game, I mean, it's a situation that you can get into or not get into. It's not something that you have to be part of. So if you don't have to be part of it, then it doesn't necessarily play a part in what you're talking about, because you made a decision to, if I'm losing all my money in the stock market right now, that's not going to stop me from going to the grocery store. You see what I'm saying?
Not you, but the businesses that have they stuff in the stock, like they took people retirements and invested in the stock. It's just a whole bigger picture. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And it will affect everybody. If that thing crashes, it will affect everybody. So you can say that it don't affect. That's
but the stock market has fallen before, but it was not due to inflation. It had nothing to do with inflation. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but inflation, they say, is because people are in more demand of products we don't have right now.
That's not inflation as well. Inflation is the value of the dollar. It's when you have too many dollars printed and you devalue your money. That's what inflation is.
And they were printing a lot of money before what? I mean, didn't Trump hand out free money too?
Well, I think they gave a stimulus package out of $1,300 for some people.
Didn't they hand out money to businesses for COVID relief fund?
Yeah.
Didn't they give? Yeah, and didn't they say some of it didn't have to be returned forgivable loan?
I believe the SBA, the small SBAs were like that. I don't think COVID relief money was like that all the way around. If I'm not mistaken, I think the SBA loans that you can get up to $25,000, some of them were forgivable.
How much of that free money was given up and got back though?
Okay, but I'm trying to figure out what's the relevance of that. You think that has something to do with inflation as well? It may have. But you know what was more prevalent to what was more prevalent to the inflation than anything was the free money, the $600 a week that was being given out, and then the $300 a week. That was
and that was under Trump. That was under Trump.
So you didn't agree with it? You didn't think that the American public should have got that money?
Oh, I did. It didn't bother me one way or the other. They gonna do what they gonna do anyway.
Okay. Well, I
mean,
think that the American public,
but they still gonna do what they gonna do.
I think American public needed that money based on the fact that the government was gearing to shutting everything down, which I told a lot of people a long time ago that you can't shut America down. It's up to the governors to shut their states down. And everybody was looking at Trump like he was stupid. And I kept saying, he can't shut your state down. That would have to be your governor. He can recommend it, and he can cut off some he can cut off some things. He can cut off some incentives for you not doing what you're supposed to do or following his rules, or his suggestions. But in the long run, Trump couldn't, or Biden couldn't close your state. I can tell you right now, Florida was never going to shut down.
Didn't it shut down during Trump?
Nope. Who? Florida?
All the states shut down. That's when they offered.
No.
They shut them all down, didn't they?
Nope. Not all states.
Majority of them was. I mean, it was a good cause. I mean, again, we value material over our own lives. We lost millions of people, so the life value was less than the value of the material things.
I guess. I mean, that's a matter of
life
opinion.
Here in America, we're a commodity too.
I understand.
So they were willing, and still are willing, to risk the lives of Americans to keep. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
It's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
All right, Mr. Leader. Well, we'll continue this conversation another day. I'm closing out.
I'm sorry.
No. I'm 3 hours. I'm about to be 3 hours in, and I'm done. I'm fried. I'm so wore out right now. It's been a long day, and I'm going to be getting out of here in a second. So I thought I'd just say we'll continue this one because I like that topic, but I just got to show you, and I want to prove to you. I'm going to bring out a spreadsheet to you to show you what drives inflation the way it does. And the reason why, how you solve inflation is valuing back the American dollar. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen to value the dollar back. A lot of people have this misconception that corporate spending and corporate money is where it's at. Taxing people is where it's at, and it's not. It's not. Putting more money in the economy right now.
I didn't say that either, but
I know you did.
You're not going to change the system that's already in place.
I was reading the comments. That's what led me to say that. I'm reading the screen.
Oh.
And I know you didn't say that.
It's just a lot of factors involved, you know?
It is, but it's an easy solution. There's an easy solution to the problem. It's just a problem. It's a solution. It's a problem that is easily solved, but do we want to make the sacrifices to solve the problem? That's the question.
Right, but it's so I guess we're gonna blame Biden and any Democrat or whatever, you know. I don't know.
I don't blame Biden.
I said all of them in a combination of way.
Well, you got to look at some of the things that can. Okay, the inflation is possibly going to happen, but now you have to look at the administration and say, how do you fix it? You can blame whoever you want to blame for the situation happen, but now you got to put it in the right hands of the people who make the decisions of how do you handle it. You know, you could say that there's a bad kid in every school. You could say that there's a bad kid, but you got to look at the administration of the school and say, how are y'all going to deal with these bad kids in our school? The kid is already bad.
But see, and I want to say this one thing too, because it's easier to say something. Remember, we're dealing with a situation that really never happened to anybody, even that's for Trump or our recent lives with COVID. So everything changed, everything with that.
Well, I still think that proper leadership makes the better decisions. And I think if you don't make decisions that's best for the people, if you're making decisions based on popularity or based on you owe down, because every president owe down. They all owe down. They owe down to the causes that helped them get there, to the groups, to the special interest groups that they get their money and funding and support from. They all owe down. That's the only reason why Biden shut down the pipeline, is because he's going for that greener, new, fresh air thing. And as a Democrat, if I was a Democrat, I would have an issue with him right now, mainly because you're talking about going to an energy car. You're talking about going to an electric car, and the average electric car is like $65,000 to $70,000. And now you're talking about the working class individual going in and getting an electric car. I mean, it just doesn't.
Everybody's just not going to be happy.
No, they're not going to be able to afford one of them type of cars. And it was like, how do you just shut down things that could have made things better for us? Even if we were saving 50 cents on the gallon right now, I mean, it's not gonna. It makes a huge difference when you get up to 5. Y'all won't know, and people that I'm having this conversation with right now will not start bitching and complaining about this shit until it gets to $5. Once it gets to $5, you're gonna say that going to get $18 on pump 12 ain't doing shit in my gas pump anymore. People,
what you talking about?
Say it again.
I pay $5 for gas.
Say it. I can hear you.
Hold on. I pay $5 for gas.
What do you have? A diesel or something?
No, I just got SUVs.
Oh, and you paying $5 a gallon?
Yeah.
Where at? Where you at? You in Cincinnati, right?
No, it's for the top gas because I got a booster in my car.
Right, okay. You buying premium. You buying premium. And right. I mean, if you buying premium gas right now and you putting it in your SUV that probably has what, a 35-gallon tank, you're easily paying $105 to fill your tank up. Easily.
No, look. Yeah, I go to the gas station and put $10 in.
Oh shit! What you going around the corner? You ain't filling up no lawnmower, girl. You better put you $10. Shit.
I don't fill it up no more.
You going to the damn gas station every day with $5 worth of $10 worth of gas.
I click it and then I get back in my car. That's how that works.
Absolutely. Now, what's gonna happen to you when you go to the grocery store and you walk in there with a hot ass $25 and you come out with bologna and bread? That's what's gonna happen.
Oh, but look, I'm on a diet now, so I don't care how much.
All right, let me let you go. All right, well, enjoy your diet. We'll talk again soon, Mr. Leader. I appreciate you being here. Okay.
All right, thanks. You have a blessed night.
You too. Man. Talk to you. That's Mr. Leader, boy. She'll spin it. You mess around and talk to her till 9. I ain't got it in me today. I don't have to. I'm wore out. Today's been a long day. I had lunch and it's just been a long day. Had lunch. That was the only time off that I really had. Everything else has been a mental breakdown today. My lunch was special. It was good. It felt good. Had a great conversation. But before that, my mental was just, ugh. And then after it, then I had to come here and it was back to, ugh. Hey, what time is it? Yep, 8 o'clock on the dot. Hey, I'm well over my time. Hey, listen, man, I really appreciate everyone. I will have more to say about this topic possibly tomorrow. If not, man, we'll catch up when I can. I appreciate everybody being here today. It is Monday. What is today? The 16th or something like that? Today the 16th? Already? Make sure y'all do something good for somebody this week. Put your name on something. Send somebody a greeting card. Just out of the blue. Hit somebody up with a text and say, hey, I've been thinking about you. Hope everything good on your end. You'll be surprised what that might do for somebody. They might be at the gas pump with $13 left. And to hear from you might be something special. Might distract them from where they are miserable right now. So do something special for somebody this week, man. It's the small things that mean so much, man. This is Wyatt. I'll see you guys on the next one, man. Peace and love to everybody.
Can you dance? Let's find out. I want to see everybody on the dance floor right now. I'm about to put y'all to the test. Let's go. Do you know the dances? Do you know the hip hop dances? Let's see. This one is the ball for sure, taking no chances. Bringing back the old school dances, here's the answers. Whether you remember or you're new to this endeavor, dance is a major part of this culture forever. Why do we preserve it if the children ain't learning? Culture ain't about just numbering and just wording. Sometimes you gotta show the culture at the party. Let's start with the Bismarck dance. Come on, everybody. Bismarck marked, the party about to get sparked. This is that moment you get live, get courage, get hard. I spit art, I'm one of a kind, they not me. I'm digitally underground like Shock G. Speaking of Shock G, when I jump, we jump. That's crisscross, but we talking about Humpty Hump. When you up, what? This is your chance. Come on everybody, do the Humpty dance. Let's go!
Holla!
Woo! That was the Humpty, now let's get it chunky. Like Biz used to say, yo, let's get funky. Funky, with the funk flow, we don't stop. Right about now, we're gonna take it to the wop. Remember the wop? Feet slide, shoulder drop. We did it in the clubs, we even did it on the block. Ready, set, go. Stand on your spot. Take it to the top. Come on, y'all, let's do the wop. Watch this. Whopping, not stopping, hip hopping, we dropping. We ain't even get yet to popping or locking. It's shocking how many dance moves we came with. Obviously, we and the ancestors got the same gift, the same lift, the same riff, and the same split. And Bob Marley said when the music hits, it's painless. You can't tame this or hate this. You gotta love me. Come on, y'all. Let me see you do the doggy. Woo! That's right. That's right. This is that part where we go freestyle. Some of y'all doing the Cabbage Patch. Some of y'all doing the Running Man. Let me see what you got. Come on. Freestyle. Freestyle. Come on, y'all. Yeah. Where my B-boys at? Where my B-girls at? Okay. We out.